Like, y'all, I didn't even sleep right. Like, I really didn't. I didn't even sleep right last night. So I was tired. I was going to take a nap. But then I decided, okay, let me just do this live stream because I really want to talk about this because y'all know that, look, I'm trying to empty out these trash bags. I'm trying to empty out these trash bags so that y'all can understand what is in the trash bag that Black men have. But how are y'all doing on Saturday? Because somebody said something about Sunday. Sunday is tomorrow. Today we dealing with Saturday today. Y'all never heard Shopper Style? I mean, the song is old because when this song came out, one of my nephews was 2 and he used to stand on the table and he had danced to this song. I was young. I shouldn't have been in no 21 and over club, but I was in one. I was definitely in one. I was in 21 and over clubs when I was young. So, yeah, next time maybe I won't have it on my speaker because it's not coming from the computer. It's coming from the speaker. This in the background. I got one of these speakers. So this is where it's coming from. It's coming from that speaker. So that's what y'all heard. But yeah, it was just to hype myself up because I'm a little bit tired and I still need to get some work done after this. And so I was listening to all types of songs, but I'm an 80s baby too. Yeah, I don't know about no 13 being in 21. I don't know about that. But I was definitely in them when I was 17. 13, no, that's a little bit. 13 is just a little bit too much. 13 is too much. It's too young. To me, 13 is way too young. But I do, for the people who are asking, I do have a PO box, but I'll get into that later. If you guys, when you come in, if you could like the video as we start to empty out these trash bags, that would be good. Because there's a lot we're going to go into. I'm going to go over some parts of the Moynihan report, and then we're going to go into this DSM-5 here. I know it might look like it's upside down to you guys, but it's not. So we're going to go into this DSM-5. If you guys don't know what the DSM-5 is, it's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. They call this the Bible of Psychology. So Christianity has its Bible, psychology, the world of psychology, and chemical dependency now. They have the DSM-5. So we're going to go into this and we're going to describe and read over. We're gonna read over some of the descriptions of narcissistic personality disorder. We're also going to go over some of the descriptions of antisocial personality disorder. And even though I'm not qualified to make official diagnoses, we're going to discuss whether or not Black men fit this criteria. And I can already tell you, we can skip ahead, they do. When I was reading over it, actually, when I was reading over narcissistic personality disorder, it wasn't even with Black men in mind, but they fit the description so much, they're the ones who came to mind. They're the ones that came to mind. Yeah, you know, when I was getting my degree, we had to, the DSM-5 was one of the books that we were required to have. And it's definitely not cheap. It's definitely an expensive book, but I do think it's a book that really every Black person should have. I really think Black people need to get more into psychology. Because most of what's going on now is mind screwing, which is psychology. You know, a lot of people think that psychology is just like telling a counselor your business, and it's really not. Most of psychology is actually manipulation, mind manipulation. It is digging into somebody's psyche so you can control their behaviors. And that's why we're going to get into the Moynihan report. And the reason I'm going to read over the Moynihan report, because this is a report that I heard Black men referencing a lot as they attempted to pathologize Black women. But what Black men tend to do, and we know because they're manipulative, but they're not, Black men are manipulative, but to a person who recognizes manipulation, they're not as good at manipulation as they think that they are. So the reason Black men refer to the Moynihan report is because it speaks about welfare. And we know they always like to say welfare took them out the home, but it didn't. And in that very Moynihan report, it talks about how the root cause of the issues in the Black community at this point is, number one, it said slavery, actually. And then the second thing it said is Black men's antisocial behaviors. So they skipped over that part. They skipped over the part where it said the root cause, and they went to the symptom because one of the symptoms better suited their narrative. But even that symptom, they muddied the waters and purposely misinterpreted even that part. So what we're going to do is, and I will share this with you guys, this is the Moynihan report. Let me share this with you guys because you'll be able, and I can still see the chat box on my tablet, but I'm going to share the screen on this Moynihan report so you guys can read along. If you look at the top of the tab here, it clearly says 1965, the Moynihan report. So just so you guys know what I'm going over, I'm going over the Moynihan report. So I skipped ahead to the section because this is a really long report. So I skipped on to the point to where it said the root cause. Now, when you hear Black men talk about anything, especially issues in the community, they're talking about the symptoms, not the root cause. So I went ahead and skipped to the root cause, because if you're going to deal with any issue, you need to go to the root cause of it. So we skipped to the part where Moynihan said the root cause. Okay, that's what we did. We skipped ahead to the root cause because that is what's mostly important. The symptoms are really not important. The root cause is. And that's why if you go into any doctor and you come with an affliction, they want to get to the root cause. They are interested in your symptoms only so that they can diagnose the root cause. If you go into get counseling, they're going to take you all the way back to your childhood so that they can find the root cause of your problem. They're not going to sit there and keep focusing on these little issues that you have. They're going to take it all the way back to your childhood to get to the root cause. Black men already know the root cause is them. They just like to lie and they like to manipulate. And these are characteristics of both antisocial personality disorder and narcissism. So I'm actually saying Black men have what they call in psychology comorbid, meaning coexisting, two of them at one time. I'm saying they have comorbid personality disorders. And it's likely more than two of them, but we know that it's these two. So we're going to read over this Moynihan report really quickly over some parts because I want you guys to really listen to what this Moynihan report is saying. All of this pertinent information that Black men just conveniently skipped over. So let's go into a quote. And then we're going to go into this part here that says Reconstruction. Let me see if I can I can probably make this bigger so you guys, let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. Okay, here we go. Now it should be bigger. It should be easier for you guys to see it. So we're going to go into this quote here. Because over here, they're just talking about how the system of slavery worked. And we know that they're talking about the Sambo and things of that sort. So it says, extending this line of reasoning, psychologists point out that slavery in all of its forms sharply lowered the need for achievement in slaves. Negroes in bondage, stripped of their African heritage, were placed in a completely dependent role. All of their rewards came not from individual initiative and enterprise, but from absolute obedience. So they're already telling you that through the process of putting Black men on the plantation, and they're going to say this multiple times in this Moynihan report, the goal here is to make Black men submissive, docile, and obedient. And that's basically what they are to men of no color now. So we already know that goal has been accomplished. But anyway, it says a situation that severely depresses the need for achievement among all people. Now, we know black men have no desire to achieve. So we know they've already depressed black men's need for achievement. Black men don't really care to achieve anything. It just is what it is, except getting sex from non-black women. It says, most important of all, slavery vitiated family life. And vitiated means obliterated it. It changed it. It destroyed it. That's what that means. Now, I've been seeing this word before, but you can look at context clues to find out what vitiated means. And I guarantee you, if I look up the definition of vitiated, it's going to tell you what I said that it was. So vitiated means spoil or impair the quality of, the efficiency of, destroy or impair. So based off what it said, we know that vitiated means destroy, just like I said. It means destroy. So you can read a sentence and tell what a word means just by the sentence that it's in. But anyway, since many slave owners neither fostered Christian marriages among their slave couples nor hesitated to separate them on the auction block, the slave household often developed a fatherless, matrifocal, mother-centered pattern. So what you see right now with the woman-headed houses, this was a dynamic of slavery, not feminism. What do they say broke up the home? Oh, feminism broke up the home. Feminism, bedwin welfare, that broke up the home. No. The matriarchy was already established on that plantation. It was established, and they're going to say that again. So it says the Reconstruction. With the emancipation of slaves, the Negro American family began to form in the United States on a widespread scale, but it did so in an atmosphere markedly different from that which has produced the white American family. The Negro was given liberty, but not equality. This is why I tell you guys, saying that the civil rights movement was trying to seek equality, it wasn't. Those are two separate things. Liberation is one thing, equality is another thing, assimilation is another thing, and integration is another thing. They are not to be confused. If black men are seeking integration, that is something completely different from equality. It is not my fault that they don't know the definition to the words that they use. So I'll say it again. Black men never sought equality. They sought integration. It's not the same thing. But anyway, life remained hazardous and marginal. Of the greatest importance, the Negro male, particularly in the South, became an object of intense hostility, an attitude unquestionably based in some measure of fear. Now, we will put emphasis on some measure of fear, because you have to speculate as to what was the measure of fear. Did they fear that black men were going to beat them up? No. They ain't fearing that, because they already told you that putting him on the plantation made him obedient and submissive. So that's not the fear that they have. When Jim Crow made its appearance towards the end of the 19th century, it may be speculated that it was the Negro male who was the most humiliated thereby. The male was more likely to use public facilities, which rapidly became segregated once the progress began, and just as important, segregation and the submissiveness it exacts. So this is why you keep seeing the theme of submissive, obedient, docile, because this is the goal for black men. They were wanting to make him submissive and docile. It's surely more destructive to the male than the female. Keeping the Negro in his place can be translated as keeping the Negro male in his place. The female was not a threat to anyone. Okay? Now, this is a report that black men used to prove that welfare and feminism broke up the black family. But you see here, it's telling you the goal was to keep the Negro in his place. They're saying, when they say this, they're being very specific to black men. The goal was to keep the Negro in his these reports and telling you that the male became more submissive than the female. That is what happened throughout the process of slavery and Jim Crow. The person
Is Sin frozen?
Oh, no. The woman ain't a threat to nobody. They're telling you the woman's not a threat to anybody. They wanted to keep that Negro male in his place. They wanted to make him submissive and him more obedient. And they said it's surely more destructive. The submissive position that they put the Black community in was more destructive to the Black male than the female. It just is what it is. They knew what they were doing because they knew psychology. Hey, Nyla.
Hey, Cindy, how are you? You cooking, girl?
Oh, good. You're a little low. I might need to turn my thing up, but you're a little low.
Hold on a second. I got my volume all the way up.
You know what? Let me see something. That might be mine. My computer volume might not be up.
Okay.
Yeah, it is though. I don't know why. Can you guys in the chat hear Nyla good?
Can you guys hear me? Hey, Luna. Can you guys hear me okay? Because you did freeze for a minute.
Okay, there was. Yeah, I froze for a moment. Okay, I'll read the part over again. So basically what I was saying is that when they're talking about slavery and Jim Crow and what the tone of submissiveness and obedience did, and they're saying that that's the process of segregation and the submissiveness that it exacts is surely more destructive to the male than the female personality. Keeping the Negro in his place can be translated as keeping the Negro male in his place. The female was not a threat to anyone. So when they're sitting here telling you that it starts with the woman, and if the woman wasn't doing this, then Black men wouldn't be where they're at. No, they're telling you this is about the male. The females, they're not a threat. The males, their goal is to make the males docile, and they accomplish that goal. What do you think about that part, Nyla? Okay, let me continue. She can finish when she gets.
Sorry, I thought I was off mute. Now I'm loving this. You are cooking, and I'm loving that you're using this particular report, because for years these men have weaponized this report against Black women without having the intellectual aptitude to actually break it down and see where it applies to them. And there are many parts of this report that they should really focus in on and hone in on, and Black women as well, that have just been overlooked. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Yep. So it says, unquestionably, these events worked against the emergence of a strong father figure. Now, this is in the 19th century. So they're telling you in the 19th century that they had already damaged the emergence of a strong father figure. They had already done that because they made him submissive. They made him obedient to white supremacy. They humiliated him. They made him the object of their violence. The woman wasn't a threat. The man is. So therefore, everything is going to go towards him for the most part. And then it says the very essence of the male animal, from the bantam rooster to the four-star general, is to strut. Indeed, in the 19th century, and that essentially means the very essence of the male animal is basically to flex. It's for him to be confident. It's for him to show who he is as a man. Indeed, in the 19th century America, a particular type of exaggerated male boastfulness became almost a national style. Not for the Negro male. The sassy Negro was lynched. So those dudes, the reason you saw them in suits, those were the ones they considered the sassy Negroes, the ones who wanted to strut in a system of white supremacy. In this situation,
the educated lames and the high value black men, basically.
Yep.
They were talking about Kevin Samuels and all of these men. That's who they're talking about. Men who are basically dominated, men who are willfully subjugated, because there are no whips and chains anymore. This is willful subjugation, willful participation in being submissive to another man.
Yep. And then it says, in this situation, the Negro family made but little progress towards the middle class pattern of the present time. Margaret Mead has pointed out that while in every known human society, and I want you guys to pay attention to this so you can understand the abnormal position that black men are playing in terms of a male. It says, in every known human society, everywhere in the world, the young males learn that when he grows up, one of the things which he must do in order to be a full member of society and considered a man is to provide food for some female and her young. Basically to provide for a family. So they're saying all over the world, the young boys are raised to know that in order to be seen as having any merit in society or as a man, you need to provide for a female and her young. You need to have a family. So when black men are running around as the only group of men on the planet talking about how they're not going to provide for or protect the women, understand that this is an abnormal pathology. This is not normal. It's not normal. You even see it among animals. It's so known and it's so literally across the board definitive. The one thing that we know across males and all species except the lions, because the lions go out, the female go out and hunt for the food. But in every other situation, the males know that they got to provide for a family. Black men do not. Black men are the single group of men on the face of the planet who thinks that it's a simp who takes care of his family. He doesn't look at himself as a degenerate and a derelict because he doesn't. He doesn't see himself as abnormal because delusion is in those trash bags. And one of those trash bags is delusion. And so a part of that delusion tells him that he's normal when he's not. He's abnormal because he doesn't have a desire to provide for and protect. It says within the family, each new generation of young males learn the appropriate nurturing behavior and superimpose upon their biological given maleness this learned parental role. When the family breaks down, as it does under slavery, mind you, they're not saying as it does under feminism. They're not saying as it does under welfare. They're not saying it does under black women choosing to align themselves with men of no color. They're saying as it does under slavery, i.e. they took black men and put him on a plantation because he was docile and refused to fight back. They're saying the family breakdown is because of slavery. And there's a part in here that they're going to say that from the emancipation of slavery, once you walked off that plantation, there was already the dynamic of women-headed household has already been established. It had already been established the minute they got emancipated from slavery. That's when it got established. And that's why black men are okay and comfortable with it. Under certain forms of indentured labor and serfdom, in periods of extreme social unrest during wars, revolutions, famines, and epidemics, or in periods of abrupt transition from one type of economy to another, this delicate line of transmission is broken. Men may founder badly in these periods, during which the primary unit may become mother and child, the biologically given and the special conditions under which man has held his social traditions in trust are violated and distorted. So they're already telling you the process by which they demand black men. And black men think that this report is in favor of them just because they mention black women being on welfare. This is how delusional they are. E. Franklin Frazier makes clear that at the time of emancipation, Negro women were already accustomed to playing the dominant role in family and marriage relations, and that this role persisted in the decades of the rural life that followed. Should we read that one over again? Negro women at the time of emancipation, that means the minute that you got off of slavery, since you got off of slavery, the women were already accustomed to playing the dominant role in the family and marriage relations. So this dynamic did not come from feminism. It did not come from welfare. It didn't come from it. No, it came from slavery. It came from slavery. I'll read it again. It says, E. Franklin Frazier makes clear that at the time of emancipation, Negro women were already accustomed to playing the dominant role in the family and marriage relations, and that this role persisted in the decades of rural life that followed. Translation, by the time Negro women stepped off that plantation, Black men were already expendable. Black men were already expendable by the time you walked off the plantation.
And I mean, could it be said that one of the reasons why they were expendable right off the plantation is because they weren't actively doing anything for themselves, that they had to be free?
Yep.
Wasn't just because we know that like all of this was in the power of the dominant culture. They had to be freed. They were, and the only reason why they were freed is because it benefited white society at large to do so. It was an economic thing. It wasn't a moral thing. It wasn't because they became a nuisance under captivity or whatever they want to call it under their oppression. They didn't become so hard to enslave that they decided that it's better to free them. What it was is these guys are better for us financially. We can cripple the Southern economy. We can be the superpower and use this in order to capitalize off of them financially. It had nothing to do with anything. Their rebellion didn't free them. Their Jesus didn't free them. Their fighting didn't free them. Nobody, none of that. The white man freed them.
And you see, Black men try to act as though once you got off the plantation, everything was fine. They had intact family dynamics, which to a degree that was true. You did have some homes, but the women at the end of the day, because Black men did nothing to prevent this on the plantation. Now, if Black men wanted to set a tone, they would have asserted themselves on the plantation and said, no, we're going to be the dominant role in the family, but they didn't. So since they submitted to Black women basically playing the dominant role in the family, which is the dynamic that men of no color on the plantation orchestrated, that is what is setting the tone now, because Black men have failed to do anything about it.
Yeah, had they been hard to deal with, it wouldn't have been that way. It would have never happened that way. But they were not hard. They were very easy to keep in captivity.
Yeah, they were. And they don't want to, the fact that they don't want to admit to that is the biggest problem. It's like, y'all know y'all did absolutely nothing to push back on anything. And now you want to come in here and blame feminism and blame welfare and blame all of this. And none of that was the case. Like, they're going to go more into Black men's pathology and how submissive they've been throughout this process. It says country life and city life are profoundly different. The gradual shift of American society from a rural to an urban basis over the past century and a half has caused abundant strains, many of which are still much in evidence. When this shift occurs suddenly, drastically, in 1 or 2 generations, the effect is immensely disruptive of traditional social patterns. So basically, they're saying Black men moving into that city life, becoming more urbanized, that contributed to the broken family structure. It says, in this abrupt transition that produced the wild Irish slums of the 19th century Northeast, drunkenness, crime, corruption, discrimination, family disorganization, juvenile delinquency were the routine of that era. In their own time, the same sudden transitions have produced the Negro slum, different from, but hardly better than its predecessors, and fundamentally the result of the same process. Negroes are now more urbanized than whites. So the more urban you become and your family dynamic, the more you are breaking up your family dynamic. Negro families in the cities are more frequently headed by a woman than those in the country. The difference between the white and the Negro proportion, the family headed by a woman, is greater in the city than in the country. The promise of the city has so far been denied the majority of Negro migrants, and most particularly the Negro family. In 1939, E. Franklin Frazier described its plight movingly in that part of the Negro family entitled In the City of Destruction. So in 1939, E. Franklin Frazier called the Negro family the City of Destruction. In 1939, this predates welfare, this predates feminism, this predates Black women's weave, this predates abortions, this predates everything that Black men claim. In those trash bags, right along with delusion, is lies. Lies. And that's what they've been telling you. Lies. The family dynamic was already broken down. Black men were full into degeneracy before welfare, feminism, Black women's weave, and anything that they're complaining about, they were already in that process. The impact of hundreds of thousands of rural Southern Negroes upon Northern metropolitan communities presents a bewildering spectacle. Striking contrast in levels of civilization and economic well-being among these newcomers to modern civilization seem to baffle any attempt to discover order and direction in their mode of life. Mind you, Black men pursued the city life. So let's take something else out of that trash bag. Lack of foresight, irresponsibility, improper planning, ineffective leadership. That's in that trash bag too. In many cases, of course, the dissolution of the simple family organization has begun before the family reaches the northern city. But if these families have managed to preserve their integrity until they reach the northern city, poverty, ignorance, and color force them to seek homes in deteriorated slum areas from which particularly all institutional life has disappeared. Hence, at the same time that these simple rural families are losing their internal cohesion, they are being freed from the controlling force of public opinion and communal institutions. Family desertion among Negroes in the city, let's highlight that, family desertion. Family desertion does not mean welfare came and took you out the home.
That's right.
That means you willingly walked out. But this is a report that they used to pathologize Black women. The same one that said family desertion among Negroes in the city appears then to be one of inevitable consequence of the impact of urban life on the simple family organization and folk culture, which the Negro has evolved in the rural South. Translation, Black men created a culture around deserting their families and being degenerate, especially in the South. Nyla, why do they use this report?
I don't know. I was sitting here just thinking to myself, you could have wrote this report. The average Black woman could have wrote, anybody that has experienced or listened to any of these men talking could have wrote this report. Why they use this report is, I don't know. Like it does not even make any sense because it sounds like you wrote it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they literally reference this to pathologize Black women. Like
they do. And like in the same breath, it's crazy because that's what I'm gonna be talking about later. This welfare taking Black men out of the house is just crazy that they hinge most of their quote unquote doctrine, because Dusty is a doctrine, right? They hinge most of their doctrine on Black men being taken out of the house, being crippled by feminism, and all of this kind of stuff, when clearly we can see what the problem is.
Yeah, and that's why I skipped to the part of the report that said the root cause, because it breaks down how all of this started. Because they are going to talk about welfare, they're going to talk about the families being on welfare, but they're going to talk about how Black men deserting their family is what caused Black women to get on welfare, not the other way around. Black women getting on welfare did not cause the Black men to desert their family. Black men were already deserting their family. They're telling you, and they're referencing the 1930s. Black Black women didn't even have the option of welfare yet. And they're telling you the family desertion, the distribution of desertions in relation to the general economic and cultural organization of Negro communities that have grown up in our American cities show in a striking manner the influence of selective factors in the process of adjustment to the urban environment. The short version is Black men didn't have no jobs, and that's why they deserted their families.
That's right. The mere fact that when you really look, and you definitely have extensively look into their history, like you said, even further back into the 1930s, most people don't know this, but it was less than 20 or 30 years. 20 or 30 years after slavery was abolished, Black men were prostituting Black women.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. A lot of and when you think of the degeneracy in our communities that they try to attribute to single mothers and to Black women, it was cultivated through them. This is literally the communities that are fallen, the broken homes. This is the house that Black men built, that they're mad that they have to live in, that they don't want to revamp, or what is the word I'm looking for? They don't want to fix it up. They don't want to renovate their broken homes.
Nope.
They abandon them.
And see, the reason why we're going over this Moynihan report is because Daniel Patrick Moynihan actually concluded that one of the root causes was Black men's antisocial behaviors, meaning antisocial personality disorder. And we know that Black men have been lying, and excessive lying is actually one of the traits of antisocial personality disorder. Is the excessive lying. We can read this report and see, oh, these are all the lies that Black men told. Mm-hmm. These are the lies that they told. They weren't in the home. They were deserting their family. And actually, this part right under here that I'm about to get to is about to tell you Black men deserted their homes, which caused the Negro families to have to depend on charity. So let's get into it. Fraser concluded his classic study, The Negro Family, with the prophecy that the travail of civilization is not yet ended. First, it appears that the family, which evolved within the isolated world of the Negro folk, will become increasingly disorganized. Modern means of communication will break down the isolation of the world of the Black folk, and as long as the bankrupt system of Southern agriculture exists, Negro families will continue to seek a living in the towns and cities of the country. They will crowd the slum areas of southern cities or make their way to northern cities, where their family life will become disrupted and their poverty will force them to depend on charity. It's not saying Black women aligning herself with feminism. It's not saying welfare will force them. It's not saying weave. It's not saying makeup. It's not saying Black women not being submissive. It's saying Black families led by Black men who are gravitating to the cities and towns instead of the countries, they will be put in poverty because of the economic racism. They will go to the cities, and the poverty will disrupt their homes and force the families to depend on charity. Not Black men were taking care of their homes and then welfare just came in and said, get out of the home, Black men. No. Black men put themselves in this situation by refusing to address institutional racism. And because they still haven't done it, that's why they don't got no money now. Because they still don't have any money. That's why they want you to go 50-50. That's why they want you to bring something to the table. They really want you to provide the table too. But that's why they're requesting all of these things from Black women, because they don't have any money, because they won't address racism. Because they're too submissive, they're too obedient, and they're too docile, and they've become the sassy Negro. Like the sassy kitten sitting up in the suit with his boy addiction, telling Black men to require Black women to abandon their children in order to be with them. They fall in further into degeneracy.
Yep.
In every index of family pathology, divorce, separation, and desertion, female family head, children in broken homes, and illegitimacy. The contrast between the urban and rural environment for Negro families is unmistakable. They put this in 1939. They told you exactly what was going to happen with the Black family. Black men have read this and used the part about welfare to convict Black women, and overlooked all of this purposely, overlooked it where it talked about their degeneracy, their unwillingness to fight, their submissiveness, their obedience, how slavery was designed to break up the family, and they blamed it on welfare, they blamed it on women's weave, they blamed it on feminism, they blamed it on everybody but themselves, which is a part of their narcissism, actually. Harlem, into which Negroes began to move early in the century, is the center and symbol of the urban life of the Negro American. That couldn't be more true. That couldn't be more true. Mm-hmm. We constantly keep hearing about Harlem Nights, Harlem Renaissance. They glorify those times, and yet those were the times that made you the brokest. That put you right in the ghetto. Conditions in Harlem are not worse. They are probably better than in most Negro ghettos. The social disorganization of Central Harlem, comprising 10 health areas, was thoroughly documented by the Haryu report, save for the illegitimacy rates. They have Why do y'all think illegitimacy rates keep coming up? Why do y'all think illegitimacy rates keep coming up? Because Black men were never marrying the women that they were having children with.
Yeah,
that's why it keeps coming up, because Black men were never marrying in large numbers the women that they were having children with. They were just going around creating these children. That's why it keeps coming up, because this is what they were doing before feminism, before welfare, before weave, before your unsubmissiveness. They were out here creating children with women and not marrying them. The same thing that they're doing in 2021, touching 2022. That's why it keeps coming up. These have now been made available to the Labor Department by the New York City Department of Health. There could hardly be a more dramatic demonstration of the crumbling, the breaking of the family structure on the urban frontier. Once they got that data, they said there could hardly be a more dramatic demonstration of it than what they saw in Harlem. Unemployment and poverty. I'll let y'all know when I get to Black women's weave. I'll let y'all know when we get to the part about feminism. I'll let y'all know when we get to the part about welfare taking them out of the home. So far, we haven't seen it. We've seen Reconstruction, slavery, unemployment and poverty, and Black male degeneracy. That's what we've seen. But let's go into unemployment and poverty, because obviously if Black men don't got no money, they ain't gonna provide for no family. The impact of unemployment on the Negro family, and particularly on the Negro male, let's highlight particularly on the Negro male, because it appears that Black women were probably still more employed than Black men during that time. If they're highlighting the Negro male, then you can just assume that the Black woman was probably more employed. Oh, just like now in 2021, touching 2022, the Black woman is still more employed than Black men. The impact of unemployment on the Negro family, and particularly on the Negro male, is the least understood of all of the developments that have contributed to the present crisis. There is little analysis because there has been almost no inquiry. Can we put most unemployed group, that's coming out of the trash bags too?
Oh yeah, right up there with least educated.
Yep. Unemployment for whites and non-whites alike have on the whole been treated as an economic phenomenon with almost no attention paid for at least a quarter century to social and personal consequences. In 1940, Edward White Bake described the effects of unemployment on family structure in terms of 6 stages of adjustment. Although the family studies are white, the pattern would clearly seem to be a general one and apply to Negro families as well. The first 2 stages end with the exhaustion of credit and the entry of the wife into the labor force. The father is no longer the provider, and the elder children become resentful. This applies more to the black man, to the black family, actually, than the white family.
Absolutely.
Because they said it would apply to the Negro family as well, but I think it applies more to him because this is still the dynamic. This was in 1940. This predates welfare. When black people didn't have, or did they, correct me if I'm wrong, Nyla, but black people didn't even have access to welfare in 1940?
No.
I didn't think they did.
I don't think they had. We didn't get access, I think, until like after the Depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere after, yeah, we didn't have it yet.
And this is already saying that the father is no longer the provider and the elder children become resentful. Like that trash bag who called your line and blamed welfare when his daddy was going around creating 7 other illegitimate children with another woman that he probably didn't marry. Just like they said was happening in 1939 with that illegitimacy rate that they weren't able to track yet. The third stage is the critical one of commencing a day-to-day existence. At this point, two women are in charge. Consider the fact that relief investigators or caseworkers are normally women and deal with the housewife, already suffering a loss in prestige and authority in the family because of his failure to be the chief breadwinner.
Yep.
Let's read that over. Already suffering a loss in prestige and authority in the family because of his failure to be the breadwinner, the male head of the family feels deeply this envious transfer of planning for the family's well-being to 2 women, one of them an outsider. So he's jealous. He's jealous. Now this says it's obvious. Sorry. Yeah, I thought it said envious. Anyway, but I still want to read that over again because this is in 1940. This is in 1940. It said already suffering a loss in prestige and authority in the family. So he already wasn't the head of the family because of his failure to be the chief breadwinner. No mention of welfare here. And now you're going to see why black women have to be on welfare because he wasn't the breadwinner. The male head of the family feels deeply this obvious transfer of planning for the family's well-being to 2 women, one of them an outsider. His role is reduced to that of an errand boy to and from the release office. He became expendable, basically. Basically, they're telling you he's expendable. The errand boy is expendable.
Mm-hmm.
If the family makes it through this stage, Bake finds that it is likely to survive, and the rest of the process is one of adjustment. The critical element of adjustment was not welfare payments. They're already telling you black women even still did not go get on welfare. She worked.
That's right.
And they're telling you that he should have worked because then he would have been able to adjust to this. They did not give her welfare. She had been dealing with this for a long time and she still didn't get no welfare. Having observed our families under conditions of unemployment with no public help, unemployment with no public help. Black men act like black women been on welfare since they got off the plantation.
You know what's so interesting, Sam? You know that Dusty that was on that video with Deanna Jacobs, right?
Yeah.
I found a video of him. You know how he's complaining about black women being lazy, being in baby mamas and not doing anything for themselves, right? Right along, you know, he basically had every Dusty talking point. Do you know that this man was on several videos complaining that there were not enough programs made available for black men?
Wow.
Like, Just thinking about like all of this and all of who are they really angry with and why?
I gotta go pee real fast. So if you can see this, Nyla, will you read it?
Let me see if you can make it a little. You know what? I might be able to see it from my phone a little bit better.
I can try to make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, make it a little bit bigger for me.
Can you see it now?
Let me enlarge it on my screen to see. Okay, now I see it. Now that I have it in.
Yeah, the having.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna go run and pee real fast.
Okay, no problem. So so we're gonna go ahead and go into a little bit more of this. Okay. So, having absorbed our families under conditions of unemployment with no public health, or with that help coming from the direct and from work relief, are convinced that the exhaustion of self-produced resources, work relief, is the only type of assistance which can restore the strained bonds of family relationship in a way which promises the continued functioning of that family meeting the responsibilities imposed upon it by our culture. Wow. Having observed our families under conditions of unemployment with no public help, or with that help coming from direct and from work relief, we are convinced that after the exhaustion of self-produced resources, work relief is the only type of assistance which can restore the strained bonds of family relationship, in which promises the continued function of that family in the meeting the responsibilities imposed upon it by our culture. This is basically laying out everything that we're saying to them. No self-produced resources. This is really sad. I cannot believe they used this report. I'm so mad that we haven't read into this before. Work is precisely the one thing the Negro family head in such circumstances has not received over the past generation.
So they just wasn't working, basically.
This is sickening.
No, and you know what this tells me? Why is my thing not working to show? Okay, there we go. You know what this tells me? Black women have been making a way out of no way the entire time, because there was no Negro family head. Black men wasn't working. There was no welfare. Black women had to make a way out of no way. And I think that the reason you have all of these companies wanting to invest billions into Black women is because they've seen our ability to make a way out of no way, while Black men sat there and accepted his inferior position. He submitted. He was obedient. He didn't fight. He went and created a whole bunch of illegitimate children, deserted his family, moved to areas that just didn't benefit him at all because he has no foresight, no leadership ability, no planning. Black, we've had to deal with too much, like way too much. Like, look at what we've had to deal with.
Yeah.
The fundamental overwhelming fact is that Negro unemployment, with the exception of a few years during World War II and the Korean War, has continued at disaster levels for over 35 years. Now, if we added that to all up to 2021, we would add on a bunch more years. Because Black men still have the lowest unemployment, the highest unemployment rate. They still have it. They're still the most unemployed group of men on the face of the planet. No progression at all. Black men just haven't progressed in mentality, in behavior. They have not. They're still on the plantation. Just like Angela say, they haven't got their freedom papers yet. And you can tell. It says, once again, this is particularly the case in the northern urban areas to which the Negro population have been moving. In the 1930 census taken in the spring before the Depression was in full swing showed Negro unemployment at 6.1%, as again 6.6% for whites. But taking out the South reserved their relationship, white 7.4% and non-white 11.5%. So that means it increased for white people, but look at how much it increased for non-white people, from 6 to 11. So theirs increased marginally. Non-whites increased a whole bunch. By 1940, the 2-to-1 white Negro unemployment relationship that persists to this day had clearly emerged. Taking out the South again, whites were 14.8%, non-whites 29.7%. Since 1929, the Negro worker has been tremendously affected by the movements of the business cycle and of employment. He has been hit worse by declines than whites and proportionately helped more by recoveries.
So
black men were getting welfare.
Yeah.
Before black women were. They were getting welfare before you were. Because this said in 1929 they were broke, deserting their family, unemployed, and getting proportionately more help, even more than white people. So they were getting more welfare than white people and black women, because we weren't even getting it. Why were they getting any recoveries? According to black men, they never got anything, especially not in 1929. But this is telling you they got proportionately more help by recoveries.
Well, this is probably why they're considered a nuisance, though. Because, I mean, how much help does a grown man need?
Right.
You know, it's ridiculous. I just can't.
Black women are unaware of these lies, though. They fed black women, excuse my language, they fed you a bunch of bullshit. They did. They fed us, and we worshiped them through it. They fed us the bullshit. They just sprinkled some sugar on top of it and told you they was giving you chocolate ice cream. You took it and said, this is good. Let me worship you, daddy. That's what happened. While you struggle, you were worshiping them while they were beating on you, abusing you, cheating on you, and abandoning you. And you worshiped them through it. During the same period, the number of broken families in the Negro world was also a long-run rise. The broken families was on a long-run rise, meaning it was increasing rapidly with intermediate ups and downs. These dudes been abandoning their family for a very long time, and they got the nerve to sit up here and say welfare took them out the home. And they'll use this point to this Moynihan report. They use it to validate that they were taken out of the home. Mm-hmm. Ain't Dusty BGF one of the main ones who was always referencing this report?
Yep, this is his Bible.
As if it doesn't give you literally a detailed play-by-play of how degenerate black men became since they got off the plantation, how they didn't do anything despite being given welfare before welfare was even allowed to hit the black community.
Mm-hmm. I think I've actually heard him refer to it as his Bible.
Wow. I'm going to skip this part because it's just giving you data on the rise and fall of the unemployment rates, but they're going to tell you how much the unemployment rates resulted in black men further abandoning their homes. It says divorce is expensive. Those without money resort to separation or divorce or desertion. It didn't say feminism is expensive and detrimental. It didn't say black women's weave is detrimental. And because black women were wearing weave, it forced black men to separate and desert from their weave. While divorce is not a desirable goal for a society, it recognizes the importance of marriage and family, and for children, some family continuity and support is more likely when the institution of family has been so recognized. I mean, we know that that's obvious. The conclusion from these and similar data is difficult to avoid. During times when jobs were reasonably plentiful, although at no time during these periods, save for perhaps the first 2 years, that the unemployment rate for the Negro male dropped to anything like a reasonable look. They basically telling you all except for 2 years, black men were broke and unemployed. Like, seriously, the only a 2-year period is when he started getting some money, and only a little bit. The Negro family became stronger and more stable. So as the black man worked, the family became stronger and more stable. As jobs became more and more difficult to find, the stability of the family became more and more difficult to maintain. I want to know where this whole notion of the black family being broken up because black men got put out the home. I'm waiting for that to come up here. So far, it's slavery, black men moving to places they shouldn't have moved to, and the fact that they didn't have no job and wasn't fighting for none, and still were degenerate even though they were given handouts. This relation is clearly seen in terms of the illegitimacy rates of this. Why are you still creating kids when you know you broke? You know you broke, but you still creating kids?
You mean black women are creating those kids by themselves? You know they didn't have nothing to do with that.
They're such delusional liars. Like, honestly, like, they need to be embarrassed even. If I hear, I'm telling you, I'm drilling if I hear one of them mention this Moynihan report. They got one more time to mention this report, and I'm going on the loudest, most flamboyant drill I've ever been on. It says this relation is clearly seen in terms of the illegitimacy rates of the census tracts in the District of Columbia, i.e. Chocolate City, compared with male unemployment rates in the same neighborhoods. In 1963, and 1963 is before civil rights, it's before feminism, it's before welfare, but it is during the same time that black men were petitioning the Supreme Court so they can have access to Becky Bell. Because there was a black man that did it in California in 1964. And before that, they had been doing it in the 1800s and the early 1900s. So while they were broke and abandoning their families, they were also petitioning the Supreme Court so they could have access to Becky. What they weren't petitioning the Supreme Court for was more jobs so that they could take care of their family. Look, the facts are the facts. This is their report that they said they like. Now, all I'm doing is comparing the dates to what we know about those Supreme Court cases that black men were taking so that they could be next to Becky. I'm just lining up the dates with the behaviors. This is their report that they want you to go to. They're always saying, read the Moynihan report. Read the Moynihan report. We reading it, and it's just confirming the degeneracy that we knew you were engaging in. In 1963, a prosperous year, 29.2% of all Negro men in the labor force were unemployed at the same, they introduced this as a prosperous year, and black men are still broke and unemployed. Almost half of these men were out of work 15 weeks or more. So you just ain't gonna work? Basically, you just ain't. Even when the economy is prosperous, you still had less than 30% of them working. The impact of poverty on Negro family structure is no less obvious, although again, it may not be widely acknowledged. There would seem to be an American tradition, agrarian in its origins, but reinforced by attitudes of urban immigrant groups to the effect that family morality and stability decline as income and social position rise. Only in a degenerate group of people would family morality and stability decline as income and social position rise. It should be the exact opposite. It should be the reverse. Family morality and stability should increase as income and position increase. You should see increases in these areas, not decreases. So basically, to me, this reads that even if he got money and social status, family morality and stability still declines. So money ain't even the problem. His degenerate pathology is. Because he was antisocial back then too. Because black men refused to deal with their issues. Over the years, this may have provided some consolation to the poor, but there is little evidence that it is true. On the contrary, higher family incomes are unmistakably associated with greater family stability, which comes first may be a matter of conjecture, but the conjunction of the two characteristics is unmistakable. The Negro family is no exception. In the District of Columbia, for example, census tracts with median income over $8,000 had an illegitimacy rate of 1/3 that of the tracts in the category under 4,000. Okay, so they're saying when black men got more money, they stopped creating kids. That sounds stupid though. That sounds dumb. I would think you would create more kids when you have more money, not more kids when you have less money. So with half of the amount of money that they were making, black men were out creating illegitimate kids. Mm-hmm. Being dumb, which is what they're doing now. How many black men do you see now who are creating more kids than they can provide for? A lot of them. Mm-hmm. The wage system. The American wage system is conspicuous in the degree to which it provides high incomes for individuals, but it's rarely adjusted to ensure that the family, we don't even need to read this part right here because we already know the Brookings report already detailed all of this. Bottom line is black men are broke, black women got money. Because black women keep worshiping black men and marrying them, is putting black women in poverty. Mm-hmm. In the 1965 economic report of the president revised the data on that number of persons living in poverty in the United States to take account of the varying needs of families of different sizes. Rather than using a flat cutoff at the 3,000 income level, you guys have to understand 3,000 was a lot back then. The resulting revision illustrates the significance of family size. Using these criteria, the number of poor families is smaller, but the number of large families who are poor increases, and the number of children in poverty rises by more than 1/3, from 11 million to 15 million. This means that 1/4 of the nation's children live in families that are poor 2.4 or 24. A third of these children belong to families in which the father was not only present, but was employed the year round. In overall terms, median family income is lower for large families than for small families. Families of 6 or more children have median incomes 24% below families with 3. That would be obvious. You have more people to feed. So, that would be more obvious. During the 1950 to 60 decade of heavy Negro migration to these cities of the North and West, the ratio of non-white to white family income in cities increased from 57 to 63%. Corresponding declines in the ratio in the rural, non-farm, and farm areas keep the national ratio virtually unchanged. But between 1960 and 1963, median non-white family income slipped from 55% to 53% of white income. The drop occurred in 3 regions, with only the South, where a larger proportion of Negro families have more than one earner, showing a slight improvement. But in general terms, Negro families have the largest number of children and the lowest income. Again, black men refuse to stop impregnating women that they're not going to marry and that they can't provide for. So how long are they going to keep up these lies? That's just what I want to know. Because how long are they going to do it? Because all of these dates predate feminism and welfare.
As long as black women listen and let them. But see, the problem is nobody's listening anymore. Nobody's listening anymore. Everybody sees it. And that's the problem. This is why they're so angry and becoming so violent and so disrespectful, because they can't hide anymore. People know who they are.
Look at what this says right here. Because I honestly need some black men to call in and be accountable. Part of me want them to call in to account for this, especially the ones who run around talking about this report. It says, because in general terms, Negro families have the largest number of children and the lowest incomes. Many Negro fathers literally cannot support their families, because the father is either not present, is unemployed, or makes such a low wage. The Negro woman goes to work. Like, seriously. Like, nothing has changed with this derelict Negro male. Do we need to read it again? Because he's still creating more kids that he can't take care of. So you creating the kids, you leaving them, you refusing to work, and now the woman got to work. It sounds the same as 2021. Because in general terms, Negro families have the largest number of children and the lowest incomes. Many Negro fathers literally cannot support their families. They can't support their families. But they'll tell you that they were supporting their families, and then Black women said, okay, we want this book of food stamps instead. A book of food stamps that wasn't even offered to them for the majority of the time that Black men weren't there.
And then they'll say, and when I tell you this lie has got to stop. That part when we were on Tanya's last week, and we were talking about this for a second about the welfare and, taking Black men out of the house. So she clipped a part of that, tagged us on Facebook, and these guys are tagging me in the comment section, saying, yeah, you're supposed to be Black first, basically, and you're lying, and Black men wasn't on welfare and Black men wasn't doing this. And then they started talking about how their family members told them what was really going on. Like these guys are in complete denial and have been lying for so long and hiding behind this lie, which, like, the fact that they were allowed so many years to tell this lie is beyond me. Cynthia, I'm going to send it to you. There's a video of me on Facebook in 2014 or 2015, sitting in my car talking about how nobody could put you out of your own damn house. I'm so I am ape nuts upset about this lie continuing to carry on into every conversation, to the point where you have women saying this. You have women that will repeat this ad nauseum on behalf of these men. Our men were crippled. I am sick of it. I'm sick of it. Nobody else. And on top of that, can we see anywhere in history where poverty or subjugation broke up the family in this regard? Do we see any other group using poverty or being subjugated or even being conquered as an excuse to not be with their families? No one has that excuse.
Hey, Angela.
No one else does.
Hey, Nyla. Hey, Cian. I think that Black men would be who they are regardless as to if Black women allow them to or not. I think that word, like saying Black women allow them. No, I think Black men are just who they are. It doesn't matter who or what race of women they're dealing with, even if they're dealing with the same gender. If you listen to gay men, they always say that Black men are the worst men that they've ever dated outside of the other races. So I think, it's safe to say that it's just Black men, and it has nothing to do with Black women and our choosing process or what we allow them to do or what we don't allow them to do. I think that they are just who they are, and they will remain to be just who they are. It doesn't matter who they're with. They can be with a dog, and the dog will be complaining.
Yeah, I think they would, because it's like Angela, have you been listening along? Before he came up?
I just came in because I got my grandbaby and stuff. So I just came in to that end part right there. So, yeah.
Let me tell you, everything that, this report is apparently BGS's Bible or whatever. I don't know why, because it sits here and it literally details Black men not working, submitting, being obedient, not really doing anything to contribute, getting handouts, being in prosperous times but still being unemployed. Like they just can't get it right. And like this same report that BGS be clinging to talk about Black women being on welfare, literally all of this is being laid out before they even talk about welfare. Like they're going from the 1939 Black male degeneracy, 1940s Black male degeneracy, 1950s Black male degeneracy, deserting their family, creating a bunch of illegitimate children, 1960 Black men doing the same thing.
But see, that's what I'm saying. It's actually kind of funny that I mentioned a dog, because you know how you were saying that dogs have more relevance than Black men do in society. Black men are really known for abusing dogs, beating dogs, not feeding their dogs. So it's just like I said, I think that Black men are just Black men. I think it has nothing to do with what we allow or what we deny. I think they're just going to be who they are. Look at all these successful well put together Black women, well spoken Black women, educated Black women. It ain't a glitch in their history at all of how they live their lives, and they still cannot find a suitable mate in Black men. So I don't really think it has anything to do with anybody but them.
It doesn't, because we didn't get to the end of this, but I want to read this part over because let me highlight it too so people can see it, why I'm reading this over. You have a derelict group of men out there saying that welfare took them out of the home. They were providing for their children. Black women didn't want a father or a provider for their children. They wanted a book of EBT, a book of food stamps. And this whole report is talking about how Black men were deserting their family because they were broke, but still creating illegitimate children. It says, because in general terms, Negro families have the largest number of children and the lowest incomes, many Negro fathers literally cannot support their families. Because the father is either not present, is unemployed, or makes such a low wage, the Negro woman goes to work. 56% of Negro women ages 25 to 64 are in the workforce against 42% of white women. So there were more Black women having to work than even white women. This dependence on the mother's income undermines the position of the father and deprives the children of the kind of attention, particularly in school matters, which is now a standard feature of middle-class upbringing. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. This is still the case. So they keep talking about, oh, well, look at these women who are raising them. No, she can't raise them. She's working because you're broke. She's always been working because you're broke. And you're not working. You either left, you're unemployed, or you make too low of money. She doesn't have a choice but to go to work. If she's working, she can't raise kids. Like, this should be common sense. That's why he's saying this dependence on the mother's income, because you can't depend on the father because he either there, he don't got no job, or he make too little. The mother's income undermines the position of the father and deprives the children of the kind of attention, particularly in school matters, which is now a standard feature of middle-class upbringing. She can't raise the kids better because you're broke and dusty. It just is what it is. You're broke and dusty, and that's why she can't raise the kids, because she got to go to work. Brother Moses said 99% of these clowns that say Moynihan report have never read. It's a bomb talking point. You can tell, Brother Moses, that they haven't read it. You can tell they haven't read it. And if they did read it, they purposely are omitting all of this and choosing to believe what they want to believe. And I believe it's a combination of both. Meet Your Match said Chinese and Japanese men were conquered, and look at how quick they turned their societies around. Yeah, because they wanted to. Black men don't want to. They already said in this report that that being on the plantation was specifically designed to make Black men dependent and to make and to basically kill his ambition and his desire to do anything. And now that's exactly where we at. He don't got no desire to do anything. He's completely dependent. He's fine with being broke and dusty, but he sure is out there slanging dick. He sure is out there doing that, though. Nothing has changed. The dimensions of the problem of Negro Americans are compounded by the present extraordinary growth in Negro population. Translation: Black men won't stop impregnating women. They won't stop impregnating women and creating children. You couldn't get an abortion at that time. You couldn't. But Black men would not stop creating children even though they were broke. They wouldn't put, just like now in 2021, they won't stop impregnating women although they are broke. At the founding of the nation and into the first decade of the 19th century, 1 American in 5 was a Negro. The proportion declined steadily until it was only 1 in 10 by 1920, where it held until the 1950s when it began to rise. Since 1950, the Negro population has grown at a rate of 2.4% per year, compared with 1.7% for the total population. 1.7% is not even enough for your population to grow. It needs to be at 2 or above. So basically, the population wasn't growing. The broker black men became, the more they start creating kids that they couldn't take care of. If this rate continues, in 7 years, 1 in 8 Americans will be non-white. That's where we already at.
What prophecy?
Yep.
Wow.
These changes are the result of the declining Negro death rate, but yet we always hear them say, oh, black women are aborting kids. No, Negro. It's because you weren't pushing back, you were being killed. It's like they lie so much. Now approaching that of the nation generally, and a fertility rate that grew steadily during the post-war period. By 1959, the ratio of white to non-white fertility rates reached 1 to 1.42. Both the white and non-white fertility rates have declined since 1955, but the differential has not narrowed. So, Negro women not only have more children, but have them earlier. Thus in because you had a bunch of grown men running around doing what they're doing now, getting them while they were young. They were getting them while they were young. Because remember, she hit the wall in her 20s. I guarantee you, these young Negro women who were actually girls, guess how old their baby daddy probably was. I guarantee you their baby daddy was grown. He was probably grown.
Yep.
It says, thus in 1960, there were 1,247 children ever born per 1,000 ever married non-white women, 15 to 19 years of age. Who's impregnating a 15-year-old? I guarantee you it ain't another 15-year-old.
Nope.
The Negro fertility rate overall is now 1.4 times the white, but what might be called the generation rate is 1.7 times the white. This population growth must inevitably lead to an unconcealable crisis in Negro unemployment. Broke black men creating children that they're going to abandon. Now we could go on, and this says the tangle of pathology. I guess we can read some of this, but then I want to get into the DSM-5 really quickly.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for that, girl.
Yeah, I'm just gonna read this one part right here, and not even the whole part because it's probably a lot. So I don't think I'm gonna read this whole part. I'm gonna go. I'll read down to here, to where this is right here. I'll read down to here, and then I'm gonna get into that DSM-5. It says that the Negro American has survived at all is extraordinary, and that really is. But I feel like this. Black men have been existing, black women have been surviving, so I feel like this doesn't apply to black men. It applies to black women. A lesser people might simply have died out, as indeed others have. That the Negro community has not only survived, but in this political generation has entered national affairs as a moderate, humane, and constructive national force is the highest testament to the healing powers of the democratic idea and the creative vitality of the Negro people. Let's scratch out people and put woman.
Right.
This is because of the Negro woman. We've survived because of black women. Make no mistakes about that. Black men have nothing to do with us surviving. This is black women. But it may not be supposed that the Negro American community has not paid a fearful price for the incredible mistreatment to which it has been subjected over the past 3 centuries. In essence, the Negro community has been forced into a matriarchal structure which, because it is too out of line with the rest of the American society, seriously retards the progress of the group as a whole, and imposed a crushing burden on the Negro male, and in consequence on a great many Negro women as well. Because black men are broke, dusty, and conquered, black women got to hold up the community. How long do we got to carry them on our bags?
That's the problem. Nobody's doing it anymore. That's their entire problem.
It says there is presumably no special reason why a society in which males are dominant in family relationships is to be preferred to a matriarchal arrangement. However, it is clearly a disadvantage for a minority group to be operating on one principle while the great majority of the population and the one with the most advantages to begin with is operating on another. Translation, Black men are not benefited by this. They're the only ones who are allowing this to happen. That's what that means. Black men are the only people who would allow this dynamic to happen, ever. They're the only ones who would allow this dynamic to happen. This is the present situation of the Negro. Ours is a society which presumes male leadership in private and public affairs, the arrangement of social facilities, such leadership and rewarded. A subculture such as that of the Negro American, in which that is not the pattern, is placed at a distinct disadvantage. Now, nobody's stopping Black men from creating that pattern but themselves, because they're comfortable. They're comfortable. And that's why they're allowing it to happen, because nobody else would. And they're already telling you, like literally nobody would do this. Here, an earlier word of caution should be repeated. There is much evidence that a considerable number of Negro families has managed to break out of the tangle of pathology and to establish themselves as stable, effective units, living according to the patterns of American society in general. And that's because of Black women, too. Because we already went over Black men's degeneracy and not doing nothing. They don't want to do nothing. They're accepting this dynamic while everybody, and then I meant to play y'all a part of this idiot, sugar booty, dick sucking Donovan. Like he sat up in front of this white man and literally said the Black community is ran by Black women, and that's an example of women not being effective for leadership. It's like, you dumb, stupid idiot. You're not supposed to be allowing that to happen, dummy. And you're sitting in front of a white man who's not allowing that to happen. They're so stupid. Like, who sits there and says that as if that's not the fact that he literally just sat up here and talked about how exemplary it is for the Black community to have survived is indicative that Black women are better leaders than you are. Dummy. It's like, but you're too stupid to know that. How does he not know that that's an indication of Black men not being able to lead, rather than Black women not being effective leaders? These men are stupid. And that's why this dummy is out here with a reject that there's no man of no color that thinks she's desirable. And she's sucking dick and ain't getting ate out. Like, I can't. And let me tell you, those men of no color are dragging Donovan dick sucking Sharp for the filth that he is.
Donovan been getting drugged this whole time, like this whole year. He been getting drugged by them, but he don't mind. He like it as long as he can stay amongst their ranks and on some level with their white woman. He's fine. He don't have no shame. He don't have no shame. He don't care.
It says, E. Franklin Frazier has suggested that the middle-class Negro American family is, if anything, more patriarchal and protective of its children than the general run of such families. And we know most Black families ain't middle class. Given equal opportunity, the children of these families will perform as well or better than their white peers. They need no help from anyone and ask for none. While this phenomenon is not evenly measured, one index is that middle-class Negroes have even fewer children than middle-class whites, indicating a desire to conserve the advances they have made and to ensure that their children do well or better. So basically, because Black men are broke, dusty, and dumb, once again, they're out there creating children that they can't take care of. And if they were smart and really wanted some wealth and advancement, they would stop doing that. But because they want women to control their sexuality, because they're still bucks on a plantation mentally, they're going along with this. Negro women who marry early to uneducated laborers have more children than white women in the same situation, because all black men want to do is sit up in the house unemployed, slanging poverty dick all over the place. Some of them got some really good dick, though. Some of them do. Some of them really do, but still it's poverty dick nonetheless. Negro women who marry at the common age for the middle class to educated men doing technical or professional work have only 4/5 as many children as their white counterparts. It might be estimated that as much as half of the Negro community fall into the middle class. We know that ain't the case now. However, the remaining half is in desperate and deteriorating circumstances. Moreover, because of housing segregation, it is immensely difficult for the stable half to escape from the cultural influences of the unstable one. The children of middle-class Negroes often as not must grow up in or next to slums and experience almost unknown to white middle-class children. They are therefore constantly exposed to the pathology of the degenerate black men and their children, and constantly in danger of being drawn into it. Meaning the children who are the product of these dusty degenerates are tainting the children who are the product of the ones who are not dusty. But they refuse to do anything about it because they're afraid of those pookies. It is for this reason that the propositions put forth in this study may be thought as having a more or less general application. In a word, most Negro youth are in danger of being caught up in the tangle of pathology that affects their world, and probably a majority are so entrapped. Many of those who escape do so for one generation only. As things now are, their children may have to run the gauntlet all over again. Black men are perpetuating the cycle of degeneracy. And it's like a dusty tornado sucking all of these children up, even the ones who are doing good. This is their pathology. Many of those who escape do so for only one generation. As things now are, their children may have to run the gauntlet all over again. This is not the least vicious aspect of the world that white America has made for the Negro. Obviously, not every instance of social pathology afflicting the Negro community can be traced to the weakness of the family structure. Yeah, it can be traced to the weakness of the black man. If, for example, organized crime in the Negro community were not largely controlled by whites, you can't even engage in organized crime and it's controlled by you. Black men don't even control their organized crime. What do you control? Oh yeah, your poverty dick. They control that. But you don't control nothing. It says, if, for example, organized crime in the Negro community were not largely controlled by whites, there would be more capital accumulation among Negroes and therefore probably more Negro business enterprises. So black men are just going to keep tap dancing for these other men.
This is the part of the conversation that I would really like to dig into, this part of the report, because when you bring this up, like as if like bringing up like how a lot of the dominant culture, a lot of them get their wealth from illegal means. A lot of people don't realize that, right? So thinking about the fact that and then when you talk about it, what a lot of people say, oh, you're just trying to cover it. No, largely white males are rich and dominant because of criminality. That's just the fact of the matter, right? But when you think about it as a whole, at the top levels, they do control it. They do control the arms coming in and out. They do control the drugs and all that kind of stuff. But I just wonder why, when you dig down into it, and I think this may be the reason why there's this fight between the quote unquote lame and the Pookie class or whatever, because when you dig down into it, the lame is only willing to go so far to get on par with white society, as long as he can look, I guess, clean by doing it, for lack of better words. But I guess in essence, the dominant culture is willing to do any and everything by any means to stay on top.
Yeah.
We're not willing to do that. We're not willing to do that. And that's something that a lot of people don't get. It's staying in power does not look pretty. It's going to involve some machismo. It's going to involve some illegal. It's going to, like, at the top level, it's going to involve some really crusty stuff. And they're not willing to do dirty stuff except to their women and children. But the white male is willing to do it to everybody worldwide.
But the fact that he pointed out in here that if Black men had even had control of their organized crime, they would have more money in the community. They're already telling you. He could have built this community up by the organized crime that he was engaging in if he controlled it, but he's too busy chucking and jiving for men of no color. This is the last paragraph that I'm going to read because this is exactly what I was looking for, actually. It says, there is no one Negro community. There is no one Negro problem. There is no one solution. Nonetheless, at the center of the tangle of the pathology is the weakness of the family structure, i.e. the weakness of the Black man. Once or twice removed, it will be found to be the principal source of the most apparent, inadequate, or antisocial behavior that did not establish but now serves to perpetuate the cycle of poverty and deprivation. It is Black men's antisocial behavior. It didn't establish it, but it's perpetuating the cycle of poverty and deprivation. Now, let's go into what the antisocial personality is, since we ended on that part.
They don't know what that means. You know, they do believe that antisocial personality disorder is not being social. You know that, right?
Yeah, they're dumb. They are dumb. They're dumb. So now that we got to the point to where in this very report that Black men are always referencing, and it's referencing their degenerate antisocial behaviors, they already said your antisocial behaviors wasn't the cause of these issues, but it's perpetuating it. So let's get into this DSM-5 and let's go to antisocial personality disorder, which is actually a cluster B personality. It's a cluster B personality disorder. They have cluster A, B, and C personality disorders. So antisocial personality disorder is under cluster B. So let's read over this and see how fitting it might be for Black men. Give me 1 second, because I just lost my window. So it says diagnostic criteria. So it says a pervasive pattern of disregard for and violation of the rights of others occurring since age 15 years as indicated by 3 or more of the following. So there's 7 criteria. They only have to meet 3 of them. Now, Angela, what is it that you always say you earned at a very young age? Observing Black men at a very young age. Angela always says she always knew there was something wrong with Black men since a very young age. I want you guys to think about going to school. 15-year-olds, that would be middle school. As I'm going over this, think about your experience with Black males in middle school, because that's when this personality disorder would present itself. It will present itself in their teenage years. Let's go over the criteria. 1, failure to conform to social norms with respect to lawful behaviors as indicated by repeatedly performing acts that are grounds for arrest. We know they fit that one. 2, deceitfulness as indicated by repeated lying, use of aliases, or conning others for personal profit or pleasure. Are we not dealing with the conscious community being exposed for conning people and lying and being deceitful? These are Black men. We know they lie a lot. They lie. We had to go through this Moynihan report to detail all of the lies. So we know deceitfulness, repeated lying, conning others for personal profit or pleasure. We already know they meet that one. So there's 2 of them that they meet. Impulsivity or failure to plan ahead. We know they got that one. Irritability and aggressiveness as indicated by repeated physical fights or assaults. Reckless disregard for the safety of self or others. Consistent irresponsibility as indicated by repeated failure to sustain consistent work behavior or honor financial obligations. We know they got that one. They only need to meet 3. They already literally met 6 of them. As a group, you can say as a group, the majority of Black men fit this even when they become teenagers. They are very mean, they are violent, they are aggressive, they are reckless, they have a disregard for the law. Lack of remorse, as indicated by being indifferent to or rationalizing having hurt, mistreated, or stolen from another. Specifically, in this case, Black women. They don't care nothing about harming you or getting over on you. They care nothing. Let's read over it. The essential feature of antisocial personality disorder is a pervasive pattern of disregard for and violation of the rights of others that begins in childhood or early adolescence and continues into adulthood. This pattern has also been referred to as psychopathy, meaning you're a psychopath, sociopathy, and disocial personality disorder. Because deceit and manipulation are central features of an antisocial personality disorder, it may be especially helpful to integrate information acquired from systemic clinical assessment with information collected from collateral resources. Now, we already have enough data to say that Black men have an antisocial personality disorder. They are psychopathic towards Black women. They just are. They just are. Let's go look at narcissism and see, do they fit narcissism? We know that they fit antisocial. We know that E. Franklin Frazier and Daniel Patrick Moynihan just said Black men's antisocial behavior is perpetuating a cycle of dust in the community. Let's go look at narcissism and see what that says. Narcissistic personality disorder, diagnostic criteria. A pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behavior, calling themselves kings, we the Moors, the power structure is falling down, we built Egypt, we got all these, what Black women can't do nothing without the Black man, winter is coming for y'all, what y'all gonna do when society break that grandiose sense of self-importance? They're expendable, but they think they're kings. Anyway.
But see, that's why, saying really quick, that was the whole reason behind the name Tyrone, because, you know, Tyrone means king. And I just find that to be quite hilarious because that's what they refer to them as. And I mean, Tyrone has really been like the laughing stock of a name, you know, literally since Erykah Badu. So it's like, I find it very ironic that the meaning behind the word Tyrone is king. And that's what they think they are. That's what they refer to themselves as. And it's just, it's funny. It's hilarious. It's everything with them is so connected. Everything is connected to who they are. And it's like, it's so just boldly written right in front of their faces. And they still just don't see it. That's what just really shows you that they're slow.
That's a part of their personality disorder too. It is blaming their problems on everybody else. Nobody's responsible but them. So number one, we know they have a grandiose sense of self-importance. We know they do. They got their hands down. We know they do. They expect, it says, exaggerated achievements and talents. Expect to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements, meaning saying you're a kingdom with no kingdom. You're a king with no kingdom, saying that you built all these civilizations, but you failed to build up your community. You want Black women to praise you and submit to you and give you all of these compliments, but you've done nothing to receive any of them. So we know they got that number one down. Number two is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Now they don't fit this one because they're actually quite lazy. White men do though. White men, number two is for white men. I was listening, let me tell you, because I was using this to go over my book, right? Richard Spencer, the epitome of narcissism. Richard Spencer. You can just listen to 1 minute of one of his speech at the alt-right convention, the one that Roland Martin played. 1 minute, and you can run the whole diagnosis. 1 minute. That's all you need of hearing Richard Spencer talk. Narcissism can be diagnosed in him. Number 3, believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high status people or institutions. Black men got this one covered. They think they're special. We're God's chosen. We're the kings. We got to go out and get these white women. They're a status symbol. The black woman don't understand us. There's better women. White women understand us better. White women have been there for us. Once we, black women, what did that dude say? Black women or white women are more socially acceptable and look better on the arms of a black man. Calling yourself a high value man when you're expendable and you're the most unemployed. Oh yeah, definitely. They got number 3 wrapped. 4, requires excessive admiration. We live in a black male worshiping culture, so obviously they require that black women worship them. If you ain't doing nothing but complimenting black men on nothing, they ain't happy. 5, have the sense of look, we don't even need to read the criteria. Do we even need to read the details of sense of entitlement? We already know if you're running around trying to bite somebody's eye out because they don't want to talk to you, you're entitled. You're entitled. The whole manosphere is crying and whining all over YouTube because they think they're entitled to women that they're not entitled to. You ain't got no money. You don't got a pot to piss in. You have nothing to offer a woman, but you're crying on social media because women that you're not entitled to, who are not obligated to give you the excessive admiration and praise that you think you deserve, because you're a king with no kingdom, and you built the Egyptian pyramids and all of these civilizations. Now you think you're entitled to women that you're not entitled to, because you're narcissistic. Unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment, i.e. black women submit to me, give me all this submission, but go 50-50. No. Or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. That means submission, i.e. thinking that somebody should submit to you, they don't have to. Number 6 is interpersonally exploitative, takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends. Look, black men can't do nothing without exploiting black women. We know this. We know this. Because if you go to any of their channels, who are they exploiting? Black women so that they can profit. Exactly. Number 7. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying exactly. There is no anti-black woman channel that is surviving off of the intelligence or the creativity of a black man. Not one.
Yeah, it's black men profiting off of black women, whether they're stealing or talking.
Black women are a walking meal ticket of the black community. We're like a walking meal ticket. Like black men will either attach themselves to you in a relationship in order to gain resources, or they'll befriend you. They'll get to know you. This is why a lot of these relationships between black women and black men online go south, because the black man was never there for any reason of properness and just natural, platonic relationships. No, he was there for a reason. Black men are all users of black women. I don't care who they are, because they know the benefit of being connected to a black woman. So it's like it will literally pay for you to pay attention to your black male friendships, because majority of the time they're only around you because they gaining something from you. They know that if you have a platform like such as Sins, any black man that gets next to her knows he's going to benefit from that platform. He knows that, whether he says it or not, he knows it. This is why we've seen her several times have friendships that have gone south, because this is what black men do. It happens to every black woman on this platform and other platforms and in real life and in real time. This is what black men do. They know they benefit off of you. You are literally a walking meal ticket. They can't get anything done without you. They cannot. They can't.
And they know it. They just don't care about exploiting Black women because they're narcissistic. They will even exploit children. They will even exploit the children of the community just to meet their ends because they don't care. So we already know they literally meet every single one of these, and we haven't even done, there's 9 criterion for narcissism. They're at least 7 of them. They're at 7. They just don't have Black men. Well, actually, yeah, Black men actually are preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success because they think this system is going to crumble and they automatically about to rise to power, and they're not. This is what they believe. It's delusional.
Well, actually, Sin, it's worse than that. I'm going to share it. I think I'm going to show it in my live stream. But they are waiting on power. Just so you know. Shout out to Helen for sending this to me. But a Black man went live today to have a discussion about what they're waiting for in order to get Black women in order and get together. They are waiting for God to come and give them superpowers. I'm not lying to you.
Wait until I read out this description of a narcissistic behavior, though. It describes, I promise you it describes Black men to a T. So they are preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. They are. That's why they run around talking about they're the most desirable men on the planet. All women love them. All men are jealous of them. Oh, yeah. What is one of those other things? Yeah, the last one, what do they say? Is often envious of others or believe that others are envious of him or her. To Black men, all other male groups is jealous of them. Every last one of them.
Yeah, for no damn reason, though. For no reason. What reason would anybody have to be jealous of them as a group? There can be individuals that have achieved something or have something that would be enviable, but them as a unit, what are we envying here?
Yep, everybody envies them. All of these men are threatened by them. All of these men fear them, and all the women see them as the most desirable male on the planet. That's what Black men believe. They are narcissistic. Malignant, narcissistic. Lacks empathy. This is number 7. Lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. Really. They lack empathy. That's why they're running around gloating about this Black woman being stalked and sent to meet her maker by this degenerate psychopath. They're gloating about it.
But see, I think they are really, I don't know if it's like a sense of lacking empathy as far as when it pertains to them. I think that they want to be able to do everything that white men are able to do to women as far as like murder, the R word, and all of those things, and be able to get away with it too, because there's no way that you would go to your channel and be like, see, it was a white man. It was, so many of them did that. See, white men do this too. White men do this too. So basically what they're admitting to is that, they do it and they like to do it and they want to be able to do it and get away with doing it, just like white men are able to move through the court system and somehow get away with doing things or get their charges dropped. So they want to be able to go out and M Black women and R Black women, and do the same thing to the children and be able to get away with it. That's what they want to be able to do, which is why we had that Black man standing in the courtroom after he M'd a Black woman and brought a Derek, Chauvin. That's why he brought him up. That's why he brought him up. He had nothing to do with the case at all.
If you listen to them long enough, the one guy who called that is it may be James or another guy that calls in often every time I do a call in, he basically said that. Why is it that Black men, why should Bill Cosby or any other Black man, when they do stuff to women, go to jail for it? White men have been doing it. And he literally said, we are angry because white men get away with this. So it lets you know that there is no morality in a lot of them, and they're governed by legality, which is a problem because legality is not always conducive to what's moral. So they will tell you that. Just like I shared with you guys that email that one psychopath sent me. I might post it on my community tab. I'm not sure, but just in short term, so that the audience knows, I got sent an email where this man basically cussed me out, told me he hated me. And, you know, he called me all types of names and witches and stuff like that. And he said I was a half breed, just everything that you can think of bad. And he said it because he said he had not seen the content yet on the young lady that was killed, who we're talking about. And the problem is I did the video and wait for YouTube to approve it. But here's the thing. He doesn't care about that Black woman. He doesn't care. What he cares about is us discussing it when a white man does it. But if he really cared about Black women being murdered, then he would be pushing me to do the content that I could be doing every 6 hours when a Black man kills one. Because they don't want the playing field even, and they don't want to be, you know, legitimately concerned, and they don't want to be genuine about it. Because if they wanted to be genuine about it, they would be saying, okay, what's going on? They would have no issues. Because think about it. If either one of us did content every day based off of what is happening to Black women, we would not be talking about white men every day. It would come in there sometimes. But every 6 hours, we would be doing a video about what a Black man did. And for that, they would attack us. But they want us the few times, and not to say that white men don't, because white men do, and I don't believe in uplifting any group of men. I believe all men should be vetted, and I believe that all men have the potential to be dangerous, dusty, and doggish, right? But what they want us to do is ignore them doing the majority of harm to Black women, to talk about the few Black women that encounter white men who are doing this to them. It's absolutely ridiculous. They don't care about these women. They just care about talking bad about white men. I'm not about to be nobody's Negro attack dog for no damn body, especially a group of dusties who need to feel better. And really, the only reason why they want to talk about the deaths of Black women, because it's some sort of porn for them. They like it. They like hearing stuff happen to Black women when they're harmed and they're hurt, especially at the hands of white men, because they believe that it's going to do something psychologically to us to make us fear other groups of men. And Black women are not afraid to be around a man that will kill you every 6 hours. One of you guys killed one of us, and we're still having your children. We're still having sex with you. You're not going to be able to scare Black women that way. Especially when the real benefit to being with you collectively is what? What is the real benefit? They say that Black women lose $25,000 a year being with one of you.
Wow, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's they only want to be able to do it too. That's the only all of the men, I'm telling you, that flew to their channels with the Mercedes Moore situation, flew to their channels to point out that it's a white man. I am convinced that any Black woman that is connected to any man that did that, you need to stay away from him, because that's a for sure sign that this man is abusive. He's kicking somebody's behind somewhere, somehow, because you don't defend things like that unless you are that way. You believe in it. You want to be able to obtain it, and you want to be able to have no repercussions nor consequences, because you think white men have no repercussions or consequences behind M'ing and R'ing the women in their community. So you feel as if, why can't we do it over here too? Why aren't we allowed to M and R the women in our community? That's basically what you're saying. And you guys are so dumb, just like Cynthia said. You guys are so stupid that you really believe that we aren't sitting here looking at you knowing exactly what you're saying. But see, that's what comes from having a sense of entitlement your whole life. When you have a sense of entitlement your whole life for generations and generations, your uncles act just like you. Your grandfather act just like you. That man going upside your mama head act just like you. All the men you see act just like you. So guess what you do? You start underestimating everybody around you because, like Cynthia said, you have a sense of grandeur. So you start underestimating every single person around you. And when you start underestimating everybody around you, guess what? Guess what? Yeah. You're the lowest one on the totem pole, because once you start underestimating, it's ways for people to break through cracks, because your head is so far in the clouds. I'm down here looking right at you. I can see you exactly for who you are. And I know how to move around you to where I can take you up top and slam you on your head, because you so grandiose and stupid and feeling like you can't be touched. This is why you keep getting stomped out in the streets. This is why you got foots and knees on your necks. This is why white men are more economically stronger than you, because you have this false sense of entitlement and kinship that you can't even see that we are looking at you like you a fool. You are a fool. You are a fool that hates your blackness. You only talk about the negative aspects of being black. You never talk about the positive aspects of being black. Black women are the true pro-blacks. I am starting to think that black men are a mutation and a variant. You are a mutation and a variant of being black. You aren't black, because all you complain about is white men, white men, white men, white men, and white men. What happened to you? Why you should be supported? You ain't even got your freedom papers, I'm convinced. You are still mentally there. And you so dumb and stupid because your dumb mammy told you was a king. And so you walking in your kingship. Everybody is slamming you, dude, and dogging you. We watching you get beat up on the news every day as a halftime. They might as well put it in the middle of the Super Bowl. We see it so much.
And they still got the nerve to say they high value men. But I need to read through this so I can get off, because as y'all can tell, I'm kind of like starting to lose my voice because it's getting raspy. But so far, like, because I want to say this. When people talk about personality disorders, they're shaped by both your genetics and your environment. And I think that the environment that Black men were reared in, the Black male worshiping culture, is what turned them into these narcissistic psychopaths that they are. That's what I believe. And I do believe in epigenetics. And at this point, I do believe that it's genetic for them too. That by default of producing children, the only thing that's going to happen is that the Black male worshiping culture is going to activate the genetic propensity to be a narcissistic psychopath in Black men. But you only have to meet 5 of the 9 criteria. They literally so far meet 9 of the 9 criteria, which would make them a malignant narcissist. That's what it would make them. Malignant narcissist. You meet 9 of the 9 criteria. Because other than lacks empathy, which we know they don't have empathy, they only seem to be concerned about themselves. They think everybody is jealous of them. Everybody is threatened by them. Everybody is fearful of them. White men are shaking and biting their nails because Black men have access to white women. This is what they believe. Number 9 shows arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes. They're very arrogant. We already know they do. But I want to go into this because I'm telling y'all, when they give you the extended version, let's see how very well this describes Black men. It says individuals with this disorder have a grandiose sense of self-importance. They routinely overestimate their abilities and inflate their accomplishments, even appearing boastful and pretentious. They may blithely assume that others attribute the same value to their efforts and may be surprised when the praise they expect and feel they deserve is not forthcoming. But basically, saying that you're a high value man in a society where you're actually expendable, that's an example of that. Often implicit in the inflated judgments of their own accomplishments is an underestimation. Sorry. Often implicit in their inflated judgments of their own accomplishments is an underestimation, devaluation of the contributions of others. How often do Black men sit up there and say Black women are not the most educated? Black women have a whole bunch of debt. How much their whole thing is to devalue everything that Black women do.
Yep. No, they talk about our education. They talk about, like, when you think about where they attack Black women, it usually is within their education, their professional life, or their abilities to just basically strive without them. So I know like 5 years ago, it was about attacking Black women for being CNAs and LPNs, which is really dumb because that's literally the pathway for most to becoming an RN and in some cases a doctor. But still, just to think about how, like, no matter how we look at the CNA as being at the, the bottom level of the medical field or whatever, the fact that it took some effort for someone to go and take a class to try to do something to better themselves, when most of them will never go and get any sort of professional degrees, certifications, or anything like that. That's just not what they do. And they down the women who do. They down the LPN, the CNN, the RN. I've seen them do it with the hairstylists, the makeup artists. These women are making six figures. I did review a stream one time where Kevin Samuels was talking about, well, we don't want women who are doctors, attorneys, hairstylists, and I forgot what of the other, I think psychologists. He named all of these women that had higher income levels, and he was like, and he made it about that. Basically, we can't control you and tell you anything. And then when the women don't have, when they have to stop saying that we're not the most educated, after the white man has to tell them that we are the most educated group, that we seek education more often than not and more often than most groups, right? So when the white man corrects him and tells him, no, your group of women are the ones seeking the education, then they'll say your education means nothing. Your degree means nothing. We just want your femininity. What did they do when they had access to your femininity in totality? What did they do with it?
But the fact that they think they're entitled to somebody's femininity and submission when they don't have, they're lacking in masculinity and they have no resources or nothing to offer, it is because they're narcissistic. Mm-hmm. That sense of entitlement. But it says individuals with narcissistic personality disorder are often preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. They may ruminate about long overdue admiration and privilege and compare themselves favorably with famous or privileged people. This is Black men saying they're the Moors. They built the Egyptian pyramids. They're about to be in power. Somebody owes them something. They're God's favored, and God is about to switch things and elevate them. They're narcissistic. Individuals with narcissistic personality disorder believe they are superior, special, or unique and expect others to recognize them as such. They may feel that they can only be understood by and should only associate with other people who are special or of high status, and may attribute unique, perfect, or gifted qualities to those with whom they associate with. Individuals with this disorder believe that their needs are special and beyond the ken of ordinary people. Their own self-esteem is enhanced mirrored by the idealized value that they assign to those with whom they associate. They are likely to insist on having only the top person or being affiliated with the best institutions, but may devalue the credentials of those who disappoint them.
My thing is, my question, when they always, hiding behind God, my question is like, do God even really like them for real?
No.
Because it don't seem like it. It don't seem like God like y'all Black men. It really don't. To me, it seemed like, for real, he might got some type of beef with y'all, because y'all don't last long.
Yeah. I
don't care what y'all doing. Y'all could be educated, picking your kid up from school and still get yanked out and slammed on the ground and stomped out in front of all the kids. I mean, you could be watching a white woman's children and still, get pulled over and snatched out the car with all the guns aimed at you because they don't trust you around children. I mean, you can just be walking up the street, in the neighborhood, and they gonna come up on you and make you twinkle toes and give you a stiff shove and tell you in the wrong neighborhood. So I don't really think God like y'all too much. So y'all really need to stop bringing up God, because I don't think he really even fuck with y'all like that.
But literally right here is where white women are Black men's narcissistic outlet, where it says their own self-esteem is enhanced by the idealized value that they assign to those with whom they associate. So basically, Julie is sitting up there saying that by a Black man being with a white woman, he's seen as better in the eyes of white men. He's assigning a certain value to these low-tier women of no color and saying that her association with him, because remember, she's the better one, She's the one that's more socially accepted. She's going to give him social status. She's going to elevate him. So therefore now he feels like he's better because he's in proximity to this woman. So these women are his outlet. He thinks he's gaining status. So that's why they run over to these women, because her whiteness is a symbol of status. And this is indicative of his narcissism. That's why he's associated with them. It says individuals with this disorder generally require excessive admiration. Their self-esteem is almost variably very fragile. We know that Black men, you say what, they'll cry at the drop of a dime. Tell Black men he ain't high value, he will make a 7-hour panel crying over what that dude on that panel with that other trash bag who was glorifying white women because she's a narcissistic outlet. What did he do after I came on the panel and said nobody wants to hear what you have to say? He went and made a 7-hour video crying because his self-esteem is fragile. They may be preoccupied with how well they are doing and how favorably they are regarded by others. They're high value. When they're with a white woman now, white men see them as better, when in reality, he just sees the woman of no color as having some kind of mental disorder, but he thinks that to society, it's making him look better. Black men seem to think that society thinks that the problem in the Black community is Black women, and that somehow he's elevated above the Black woman. This is what they believe. They believe that society is looking at them favorable and looking at Black women as these masculine, unsubmissive, uncooperative baby mamas who are running around roughshod, wreaking havoc on the community. In their delusional, narcissistic mind, this is what they believe society sees them as, and that's why that dick-sucking Donovan Sharp sat down in front of that man of no color and opened his mouth to say that the Black community and the condition that it's in is indicative of Black women's bad leadership rather than his degeneracy. And the fact that he sat there and said that is because he thinks that other men share the same perspective as he does. It's their narcissism. It just is what it is. Where did I stop at? It says this often takes the form of a need for constant attention and admiration. They may expect their arrival to be greeted with great fanfare and astonished if others do not covet their possessions. They may constantly fish for compliments, often with great charm. A sense of entitlement is evident in these individuals, unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment, and they expect that mostly from Black women. They expect you, as soon as they come on the scene, bow down, submit, worship them, tell them how big of the king they are. And if you don't, they will melt down and go on long rants and stalking you and harassing you and calling into your phone line when you told them you don't want to talk to them. That's what Black men will do if you don't praise them. They expect to be catered to and are puzzled or furious when this does not happen. Tell me that it's not Black men who expect to be catered to, and they will bite your eye out or hit you in the face with a skateboard if you don't do it. For example, they may assume that they do not have to wait in line and that their priorities are so important that others should defer to them, and then get irritated when others fail to assist in their very important work when they ain't really doing no work. Like that man talking about, CG interrupted us building. She came up here and interrupted us building. No, you were praising white women. That wasn't a build. The conscious community talking about their building when they really outside arguing over whether they're a Moor or a Hebrew Israelite. But they call it building. Go ahead, Nyla. This sense of entitlement combined with the lack of sensitivity to the wants and needs of others may result in the conscious or witting exploitation of others. Black men are consciously exploiting Black women. They are consciously exploiting them. They expect to be given whatever they want or feel they need, no matter what it might mean to others. For example, these individuals may expect great dedication from others and may overwork them with regard for the impact of their lives. What do they expect Black women to do? Work and be traditional, go 50-50 on them, submit to them, build up the community, do all of this stuff for them, and they're not going to give you anything in return. Like that trash bag bandit who set up on Facebook saying that in order for him to even consider dating a woman, she needs to abandon her children, give away her parental rights, and not even talk to him about her own children. Demonic, narcissistic psychopaths. They tend to form friendships or romantic relationships only if the other person seems likely to advance their purpose or otherwise enhance their self-esteem, meaning they're using you. The reason they're in relationships with you, because they want to benefit off you. The reason they come over here to our channels, because they're clout chasing. Hi, Edine Cole. How you just came and set up on this panel over advertising your business and your name. You came over here to cloud chase and get some attention because you want to profit off of a Black woman. That's why you came over here, claiming to be friends. What was I wish Irene was here so she could talk about Sonetter and Sanchez, who came in proximity to her so they can look better, only to turn around because she didn't do what they wanted him to do. So he set up on a panel talking about her children because she didn't give him the admiration and the coverage that he thought he was entitled to. They often usurp special privilege and extra resources that they believe they deserve because they are so special. They generally lack empathy and have difficulty recognizing the desires, subjective experiences, and feelings of others. They completely tune out that Black women have a plight. They will say Black women don't face racism. They will say Black women have privilege. Black women don't have a plight. No, we need to talk about what Black men are going through. No, but Black men are oppressed. Oh, but the man done did this to Black men. You need to focus on what's going on with Black men. And that's what we've been doing. They may assume that others are totally concerned about their welfare. They tend to discuss their own concerns in inappropriate and lengthy detail, filibustering, while failing to recognize that others have feelings and needs. They are often contemptuous and impatient with others who talk about their own problems and concerns. Have y'all ever been on a panel with a Black man who's complaining about child support for a child that he created? And when you start talking about how he left that woman, a single mother, while he's complaining about single mothers, what does he do? He turns belligerent, like how Julius did when I start talking about how he was praising the very women of no color who put Emmett Till in the casket. What did he start doing? Screaming, complaining. Say that to Emmett Till. Say that to Emmett Till. Try to talk to a Black man, and that's exactly what you're going to get.
You know what? And when you watch shows like Judge Mathis or whatever, I was watching this show, this man, where he tried to take back the cell phones that he brought for his kids from his ex-wife. He called the police, sent the police to her house to confiscate the phones because the kids was acting up. So the mother, who is the primary provider, took the phones away from them as a disciplinarian tactic. This fool called the police on her. See, this is how messed up and degenerate Black men are. All you got to do is watch all them shows, them paternity court, all that stuff. All you got to do is watch them shows and see how Black men act. See how they act.
I was watching something the other day, and it was a live stream. It's a perfect example of what Black men do, especially this one, when it says they may be oblivious to the hurt their remarks may inflict. When recognized, the needs, desires, or feelings of others are likely to be viewed disparagingly as signs of weakness and vulnerability. What do they do whenever Black women complain about something? They start pathologizing her.
Or they
talking about how she was wrong. You should have shown better. Why did you pick that loser? You a single mother because you chose to be one? That's exactly what they do. Those who relate to individuals with narcissistic personality disorder typically find an emotional coldness and lack of reciprocal interest. I.e., praise them, but they ain't about to protect you and provide for you. No, they ain't about to do that. They'll say that they're a king, but what do they do when you ask them where that kingdom at, though? That's when you're going to get that reaction. These individuals are often envious of others or believe that others are envious of them. They may begrudge others their success or their possessions. White men, they're highly envious of white men. Black men are very, very, very envious of white men. They're very envious of white men. Feeling that they're better, feeling that they are better. Somebody made a typo in here. It should say, it says feeling that they better, but it should say feeling that they better deserve those achievements, admiration, and privileges. And that's basically what Black men do say. Oh, look at all the white men did. We should be getting this. They shouldn't be getting that. They're very envious. They may harshly wait, did I skip over this? No, they may harshly devalue the contributions of others, particularly when those individuals have received acknowledgement or praise for their accomplishments. What did Black men do when they found out that Goldman Sachs was giving money to Black women and not them? They literally showed their ass all over YouTube. All over YouTube. They jumped all the way out the window when they found out the gold. And what did they say? Oh, no, that should go to us. Why ain't they giving it to the Black men? But Black women don't need that. They always trying to call the divide. This should go to Black men, not the Black woman. We the man of the community, and they ain't giving it to us. Nobody owes you anything. You think that they do because you're narcissistic and you feel entitled. And you hate seeing Black women get anything because you think you're better. And you're not. Arrogant, haughty behaviors characterize these individuals. They often display snobbish, disdain, or patronizing attitudes. For example, an individual with this disorder may complain about a clumsy waitress' rudeness or stupidity, or conclude a medical evaluation with the condescending evaluation of a physician. Or saying, no, that data is from the white man. Why y'all getting the white man's data? Y'all know they gonna make the data appear that Black men is doing something that they ain't. Y'all can't trust that data. Really? So you're the sociologist and the economist of the world? Really? So all of the data that says you're an absentee father is wrong, right? It's wrong, but you're running around complaining about these single mothers because people trying to set you up. What do they say? They say Mean Island Woman Spear are trying to poison everybody against them and make them look a way that they're not. They discredit everything unless it's in their favor. And they will quote the CDC and say, oh, it said the CDC say we the most active fathers. And then when you say, well, I read that study and it said that, you know, you're the most active father when you're there, but you're not, then it's, oh, yeah, that's the white man data. Why are you getting the white man's data? You just quoted the white man's data, sir, when you thought it was favorable to you. But now this same data lacks merit. Watch them try to tear apart the Moynihan report. Watch them start discrediting the Moynihan report now. I guarantee you that's what they're going to do. They're going to, they're literally now going to discredit the Moynihan report. I guarantee you it, because it talks about their brokenness, their antisocial pathology, the fact that they are abandoning their children. Watch them say it's incorrect. Watch them say it. Because they're narcissistic. They're narcissistic psychopaths. And Black women really need to understand this. Now, I don't know about y'all because that was the end of it, but I think that summed up Black men in a nutshell. They might as well have just put a picture of a Black man there. as an example of what a narcissistic psychopath looks like, because that is who they are. Lena Vaughter said, I bet you never lost an argument. You're so intelligent. The thing of it is that there's a difference between a debate and an argument. I think in an argument, nobody wins. Beige Negress too said they believe OkCupid data, but not government or peer-reviewed data sources. Right, but remember when now that you brought that up, remember that Dusty who called up on my phone line and was talking about, the OkCupid data? And when I asked him, what did the OkCupid data say about Black men?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and he got delusional. Hey, Taz. That sound like he eating. Nyla done cooked some food, didn't you? Or some.
I mean, I agree.
We can do call-ins for half of an hour. So there's not going to be too many calls, but yeah, I'll open the phone lines for the next 30 minutes until 7. But then I'm getting off here because I'm losing my voice, and I actually need to get to this. So let me get the number so y'all can call in. We'll see if some narcissistic, psychopathic trash bags want to come in and explain to us how they're not narcissistic, psychopathic trash bags. But hold on, because conference call was supposed to change my number. They said that they were going to change the number that I have. So hold on, let me open the phone.
I got a 1-800 number with them that's supposed to be a direct thing, and I don't know how to use it.
Yeah, they changed it. So hold on.
Participant in the conference.
Yeah, they changed it. So I have to go back and get it. So hold on. I have to get the number. Yeah, because they changed it. So hold on for a second. The passcode to get in there is still the same, but this is the new number. Hold on. Let me type the new number from my phone into the chat box because they changed it. Okay, so I'm posting the number in the chat box. That's the call-in number. That's the new one. Let me copy this for a second. Hold on. Oh, it won't let me. I'll just replace it. So the call-in number is pinned to the top of the chat box. When I see some calls in queue, then I'll come off of it because I'm not about to have that music playing. And at 7 o'clock, I'm shutting down. So whoever don't call in, you ain't getting no call in. If you don't call in, if you on the phone, once it hits 7, I'm getting off the phone. And I ain't taking no more calls. So if you're going to call in, you might want to call in, preferably some trash bags so they can call in and defend their narcissistic pathology. Okay, so we got a caller.
There is one other participant in the conference.
Let me mute everybody.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
346, you're on the line.
Hey, Cynthia, it's Luna.
Hey, Luna, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So what did you think about the Moynihan report and the diagnosis of Black men, the unofficial one?
I've honestly literally been crying at how funny that is, because we always talk about how they are the most illiterate, and then you pull up stats quoting exactly what they be talking about, and what does it say? Everything that you have pretty much confirmed since you've gotten online.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing I've ever listened to in my life. And it just goes back to what I was saying last time. It's like all they do is whine. And then when they don't whine, they just get violent. There is no other option with them. It's like whine or be violent. Be violent or whine.
Mm-hmm. No, truly do. I truly do believe that Black men, the majority of them, are narcissistic psychopaths. They just really are. Their behavior says it. The mindset says it. Let me tell you something. There ain't a psychologist who would observe the behavior of Black men and their mindset and would understand the criteria of narcissism and antisocial personality disorder and say that they don't fit them. I believe there's not a psychologist on the face of the planet that would say that Black men are not narcissistic psychopaths. I don't see it. Because you can observe those attitudes and behaviors even in them in their adolescence.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. But actually, the reason why I called up is because a while back, Irene did a stream about the dress.
Luna, email me. I'll give you a link because there's other calls on here, and I want you to be able to talk. So if you have my email address, just email me. I'll send you a link to come on the panel.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, because I want to get some more of these other calls. So yeah, email me and I'll send you a link.
I got you. I'll do that now.
Okay. Okay, bye. Okay, let me get the next person that was on the line. I think it was this one. 480, you're on the line.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the line.
So, I just I wanted to mention, for the note that your last live, this talk that you would ask the question as far as our Blackness.
It's a little difficult to hear you. Is there any way for you to increase your volume?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little bit better, yeah.
Okay. So I know you had done the last one. You had asked this, you had brought this question as far as like for our Black men expendable, and no one was really able to, at least as far as Black men, no one was able to answer that question. Me personally, I believe that they are, and I believe that they are because Black Lives Matter proves it.
Mm-hmm.
It proves it. But then I also have a question for you.
Sure.
Because of organizations such as Black Lives Matter and even news outlets that are constantly all throughout 2020 reporting on, Black men being killed left and right, would that not give them some sort of value in a negative way?
How? Because that's the same thing that E. Dean Cole says. So explain to me how Black men being hashtags would mean that they have some value.
Well, I mean, as far as I know, Black Lives Matter itself has made over $90 million off of the deaths of particularly Black men.
Who started Black Lives Matter? Who started Black Lives Matter?
Oh, women. I believe it was.
No, what race were they?
Was it like lesbian women?
What race were they?
I believe it was Black women.
Right. So exactly. So it was Black women. So we already established that we live in a Black male worshiping culture where Black women overvalue Black men. But Black women are not the ones making Black men hashtags, are they?
No, but
right. So then you're conflating the value that Black women place, and I believe that you're a Black man. This is probably a part of your narcissistic pathology. We just covered this by trying to place some type of value on yourself that is not there. Society is making you a hashtag. They didn't start the Black Lives Matter movement. In fact, they started the All Lives Matter movement, thereby devaluing your life. They tell you that you need to comply. They defend your you becoming a hashtag. Stop conflating Black women's value for you for overall society's value. The people who are making you a hashtag are doing so because you're expendable. It's just that simple. They don't see any value in you. People do not destroy their valuables. When you buy something of value, do you destroy it?
No, and that's
Exactly.
why I agree that they are because they die a lot. Unfortunately, they die a lot each year at the hands of police and everything else. That they are expendable, and that's why I was calling in, because no one in that last live you did, no one brought that up.
No, actually, Edie Cole brought that up.
Who's that?
The black man that I was talking to, he said basically the same thing that you're saying. And I'm telling you, it's not the case. That's not the case. Nobody destroys their valuables. Valuables are protected. So you're not valuable, you're expendable, then making you a hashtag is evidence of you being expendable, not valuable. But I'm going to let you go because I got other calls to take. So thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Bye. Luna, what were you trying to say on the phone?
Oh, Irene did a video. It's one of my favorite videos from hers where she read a bit of the Dred Scott decision. It was actually different from what I originally thought. I just thought he went to court to try to fight to get out of slavery. I didn't know he even had the option to actually be out of slavery. Because he lived in a state where, you were allowed to be free. And she went over just a few points about it, where the judge did the most epic read on black men that I have ever heard in my life. Like, I was literally crying at that. I'm just like, it was sad, but it was like hilariously sad, because he even went into the part where he was like, you were great, I can recognize that, but we reduced you to slaves. I was like, God damn. Like, he even also went into why immigrants get benefits and black people in America don't. Like, he went through detail after detail. I got so obsessed with that, I had to read the full thing. I think a video of you doing that would be epic.
Yeah, I think the Dred Scott decision deserves to be read just for the simple fact that whenever we hear about the Dred Scott decision, it's because the black man is telling his distorted, victimized version of it. Like, cause I heard about the Dred Scott decision from Tariq. And in there, he simply said that the Dred Scott decision says that, a black there's no rights that a black man have that a white man have to honor. But what he omitted was why that judge said that. And so we should go over it, because there's always missing pieces. When black men tell the story, they never tell that he said that no, because you assimilated into a system where you had no rights. You knew you had no rights and you assimilated into it. So you don't get the sovereignty that Indians got who did not assimilate. And so black men won't tell you that part. Just like they'll quote the Moynihan report and tell you that it talked about black women being on welfare, but they'll omit the whole entire part that says that they never had jobs, they were never providing for their children, and they were always abandoning and walking out on them, and that the family structure was destroyed on the plantation and it's never been repaired. And black men's antisocial behavior simply reinforced something that was created on the plantation. So they're not going to tell you the full story. So I actually am going to look up the Dred Scott case, and I am going to come on here and cover it. I don't know when, but I'm going to cover it though. But I just don't think we should listen to black men anymore, because they're too deceptive and they lie way too much.
No, omitting is an understatement. They read one sentence of something and they just run with that. And then on top of that, most of them aren't smart enough to actually go and do the research for themselves. They do one Google search and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. And they all just say the same story instead of actually going through and trying to figure out their own conclusion about it. And I think that's really interesting, because the Dred Scott case wasn't the only historical document that actually broke down their pathology. There was actually quite a few of them, and I had been learning about them because, Irene posts political things all the time. So I go through and I read all of them, and it's just absolutely amazing. They even broke down like the what are they called? The zip coons. They broke down the lazy black men. They broke down the black men who were mulattoes. They broke down the black men who wanted to assimilate into white culture by way of white women. I mean, when you say that Black men don't plan for the future, but white men have, I didn't even understand like how deep that actually went. Like you have data way back from the 18 and 1900s where they even told you what exactly was going to happen with them. And everything has played out. Literally everything has played out. I wouldn't be surprised if they already got it planned for Black men for the next 100 years, because they've already planned out from this far ahead all the way.
You know, and I'm going to look into this. Caller, I'm about to get you in just 1 second, because somebody said that during the civil rights movement, that basically the government said that they would give Black people equality, but they would stay segregated. And Black people didn't want that. They didn't want, somebody said that that's what separate but equal meant. Now, I'm going to do the research on that to find out if that was the case. But it's believable to me, because I've always said that Black men didn't want equality. They didn't want liberation. They wanted assimilation and they wanted integration. So it would make sense that they were offered to remain separate, but still have equal rights, and that they would have turned that down because they really wanted to be in direct proximity of white people. So I'm going to look into that and I'm going to see if that's the case. But 262, you're on the line.
Hey. I was just calling to talk about the dual diagnosis of narcissism and anti-personality disorder. You had made. Oh, first I want to say thank you for allowing me on your channel, and I really enjoy your show.
Absolutely.
So and you made a couple of statements. You made one about the about Black men degrading the accomplishments of Black women, and I have witnessed that myself. I'm a registered nurse, a psychiatric registered nurse on top of that. So I made a small video, which I'm not even like a content creator, but I made a small video on my YouTube page, and I had never had like views on my YouTube page. I made a video about Ken Samuels. And it was specifically in the title towards Black women, telling them, you know, to understand their worth and to stop calling the show. Dude, I got like 2,500 views on that, and it was mostly all Black men dragging me for filth, saying that I needed to die, I needed to get a life, I was going to die alone, and I'm married, but they was like, you're not married, where's your husband, you're stupid, that's why Kevin Samuels has told us not to marry nurses anyways. I mean, I have like 800 comments on the video just like dragging me for filth, and saying how my degree meant nothing, how I'm probably not married, I'm probably lying about being married. I mean, they just like every day I see new comments, and the video was like a month and a half old. Like every day I see the comments of them just dragging me for saying that Black women should stop listening to Kevin Samuels. And I'm like, the video was specifically posted for Black women. So I didn't understand why Black men like gravitated to it. Like in the title it says Black women. But they gravitated towards the video and like cursing me out every single day. I get new comments on it just cursing me out. So yeah, I can say that men in general has a larger number of narcissism, but to add the
it is. It's mostly inflicted in men. Like really,
right.
the majority of mental disorders, I believe, are in men. I believe they're present in. There's certain ones that you can already tell by virtue of what they are. They're present in women mostly. Like I think histrionic.
Yeah, mostly depression.
Yeah, and I think histrionic is mostly in women too. So there's certain ones that you can tell that are mostly in women, but I think most of the personality disorders, I think they are mostly prevalent in men. I think they are.
Yeah, but the dual diagnosis of anti-personality disorder on top of narcissism, I can definitely believe that it's a Black male pathology, because Black men have just made it their like life goal to degrade Black women, to tear down the Black community, to absolutely make disgraces of themselves in public and at home, and they totally don't understand what they're doing, or if they do understand it, they just don't care. And it's just, it's really hard to deal with. It's hard to have patients that come in as Black men because they are completely, I won't call them psychopaths because I don't think it's a mental disorder. I think it's more so
psycho. No, and a person having antisocial personality disorder it is associated with being a psychopath and a sociopath. So they are. You can't separate them. They are. They're basically the same thing.
Yeah, the only difference between psychopaths and sociopaths is psychopaths actually have a mental disorder on top of them being non-empathetic. A sociopath really their lack of empathy doesn't have to do with a mental disorder. It's just they're just unempathetic, and I think Black men lean more towards sociopathism. But so I just want to say thank you, and I totally agree with most of your views, and I love your channel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to grab another one of these calls, but thank you so much. Yeah, look.
All right, thank you.
It's clear that Black men have comorbid psychological disorders. It just is what it is. Like they do. Now we may be the only thing that's debatable is which comorbid personality disorders that they have, but they definitely have comorbid personality disorders, and one of them is definitely antisocial, and one of them is definitely narcissism. It just is what it is. 919, you're on the line.
Hello.
Hi.
So I just want to say that I really appreciate everything you do and everything you talk about. It's really helped me to understand Black male pathology. My name is Marissa, by the way. And, I wanted to say that a couple of years ago, I used to live with my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins. And my uncle, who is white passing, very fair skin, hazel eyes. My aunt, she's brown skin like me, and both of my cousins, they're both boys. They look biracial. And the whole family, except for one of my cousins, are very narcissistic. And when I lived with them, it was really rough mentally and emotionally for me. And I only stayed with them for 1 year because my youngest cousin, Colin, he actually married a white woman. And when they say that it's like a status symbol to them, they really mean that. And I thought up close and personal because the way he treated her, it's kind of like, on Coming to America when the servants would throw roses in front of them when they walked. That's how he acted around her. It was like he became her little servant and she could do no wrong. And it's like he worshipped the ground that she walked on. And even though I'm his cousin, I was always compared to Marsha, and so I could have possibly been married to my cousin, which I know is weird, but my cousin, he's very successful for his age, and their mentality, my family's mentality was, oh, Marissa, if you were more feminine like Marsha, if you weren't like this angry Black woman, then, you could maybe be with somebody like your cousin, right? You could maybe aspire to be on that level. But see, Marsha, she started to figure it out, and she's so beautiful, and she's so smart, and honestly, she's trailer trash. I mean, she's cute, but she's trailer trash. And, it was really difficult for me mentally and emotionally because, I don't know if you mentioned this in part of your live, because I missed part of it, but something that narcissists do is they love to gaslight. And I remember you saying how, Nick Cannon was talking about how being a white woman was a status symbol,
right,
and it was important for Black men to try and elevate themselves to that, and how in Black men's mind, it's like they think to themselves, Black women are crazy for trying to hold on to our culture and to try and build our community and take care of our children and promote Black beauty and all the greatness of Black culture.
All right, so here's the thing. We have to, I don't mean to rush you, but we have to come to the point because I have a lot of other calls and I only have about 6 minutes left.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that something that people say when they gaslight is that, oh, you're crazy, and other people think so too. And Black men that's kind of how they gaslight us. That if we become subservient and we align ourselves with white people, people will think that we're better. And because you're doing the opposite, you're crazy. And everyone else sees you that way, then it seems to be a bit of the opposite. And that's all I wanted to say.
Right. Well, basically, you're describing one of their narcissistic traits, because they do that. But the reality is they think that they're being elevated in the eyes of society, and they're not. It's just one of their narcissistic delusions. But thank you so much for calling in. I'm going to grab another call. I can probably take 2 more calls, so I'm going to grab another call. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Yeah, that is actually, I mean, it was a little long-winded, but she actually gave a very good example of, you know, their delusions of grandeur, and basically thinking that other people see them as different and special based on their association with people that they think are of higher social status. And for Black men, that generally means any woman that is not Black, but ultimately at the top of that food chain is women of no color. They think that somehow she's doing something to change his image, and she's not. Nobody's looking at him different. He's just delusional. 320, you're on the line.
Yeah, so I have a point. I agree with your point that Black men are not high value, right?
Right.
But I had a point getting onto that. So I have a problem with people who don't practice what they preach. So, for example, Nala is with a Black man, Taz, who's a free trash bag Dusty, who's not high value. And you, Cynthia, got pregnant by Robert Perkins, a free trash bag Dusty.
So prove it. So are you going to prove it, or are you going to have your narcissistic meltdown on this phone line? Because don't say nothing that you can't prove. And nobody cares about your opinion of the qualities that you think these men have. The bottom line of it is it wouldn't matter if I had 50 kids. Hold on. I'm still talking. You don't get to come call on to my phone line and interrupt me when I'm in the middle of talking. You will control your narcissism while you're on this channel. You do understand that, right? Because you will get hung up on. Understand that you have zero importance when it comes to my phone line. So control your narcissism. It wouldn't matter if I had 50 children by 10 Dusties. That wouldn't do anything but validate what I'm saying. That's the only thing that it would do. So you don't get to call up here and tell people that they're not practicing what they're preaching. Unless I sat up here and said, I'm not going to have a child by a Black man, then even if I did have one by 10 Dusties, it wouldn't be a contradiction. And see, in your dusty narcissistic mind, you think you get to hold me or Nyla to your dusty standards that you don't even have.
And can I just say, ask him what is hypocritical about the conversation as it relates to Taz. Explain it to me.
Listen, Cynthia said all Black men are not.
We're not talking about what Cynthia said. What? Tell me.
First of all, trash bag, because this discussion ain't about being high value. This is about you being a narcissistic psychopath. So you don't get to come on here and change the topic of discussion. Like I said, control your narcissism. You don't get to try to attempt to chastise Nyla for her decisions that have nothing to do with you. You're either going to justify or defend the fact that you're a narcissistic psychopath, or you go get your trash bag off my line. So which one do you want to do, since you came up here? You came up here for some attention. You're getting your little 2 minutes of attention. What do you want? Because you're not going to chastise anybody on here. You're going to talk about your comorbid personality disorders. That's what you can talk about. But you ain't talking about nothing else.
Actually, I agree with everything you're saying.
Okay, so tell me, what do you agree with in terms of Black men being narcissistic psychopaths? Tell me what you agree with.
They're narcissists, psychopaths. They're everything you said. The Moynihan report about the being the cause of the destruction of the family. All that stuff, I agree with. Fine, I'm saying that.
Exactly. Now that you no. Now that you agree, get off my phone line and go pick up those trash bags and take them to somebody else's chat box. Like, you really tried it. Like, you see what I'm talking about? The narcissism is on autopilot. Like, how dare you think you get to call up to somebody's line and try to chastise somebody about their decisions when you're sitting here as the most unemployed, dusty group of men on the face of the planet, and you're expendable too. But you think you get to just call in and talk about somebody's personal life that you know nothing about? It's like, girl, bye. If you don't get all the way out of here. 763, you're on the line.
Hi. So I was just calling because I wanted, like, when you were reading the Moynihan report, it quoted a lot from Franklin Frazier.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to know if you've actually read his book.
I haven't.
At all.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Because I know before, like, when you started, you mentioned you had a P.O. box. And I have this copy of that book. It's called The Negro Family in the United States. And it's kind of really hard to come by, but I wanted to see if I can give it to you because, I mean, I've read it, but I know you would probably be able to come up with a lot of content from this book, and I know you'll probably put it to better use than I can. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to, like, call and, like, I guess remind you about, like, I guess your P.O. box to see if you can share it or whatever. I just wanted to see if I could
email me.
Email you this book.
Email me.
Okay.
Do you have?
I did before a while ago, but
sorry, I'm starting.
I really wanted because I don't know what else to do with this book, but I know you could probably use it.
Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. Is getting raspy. So I'm going to get off of here. But do you have my email address? It's gonna be after this is processed. I'm gonna pin it to the comment section. It's already in the description box of the video. It's already in the description box of the video, but I'm gonna pin it to the comment section so you can get it out of there and then just email me because I would never give that information out on a live stream.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to do that. I also wanted to say thank you for everything that you're doing. My 14-year-old watches you too. Mm-hmm. And every time she's like, Mom, did you watch Cynthia's video? She always reminds me, even if I forget, she always reminds me. So my daughter really loves you, and I do too. And I just thank you for everything that you're doing. And I know you put this book to good use. So,
yeah, I definitely would like to read it. So definitely email me, but I got to get off of here before I not have no voice left, and I got to pee, and I need to get some food. So I got to take care of my biological drives. So I'm about to get off of here, but thank you so much for calling in, and definitely email me.
Okay.
All right, you take care. Bye. So I'm closing the phone lines because I told y'all I was going to at 7 and it's 7:03. So we about to get off of here. But yeah, did y'all see, like, I wanted y'all to see the dusty narcissism because at this point, like, I don't even, like, the Black men can't even control their narcissistic impulses. Like, they can't. Like, this dude really put himself on such a high horse, he thought he could come up here and check me and Nyla. It's like, who do you think you have to have an overinflated sense of self-importance if you think you're important enough to come up here and first of all try to tell me that I did something he doesn't even know about. There was a trash bag in my comment section trying to tell me something about my sisters and who they married. It's like, you ain't in my family.
that's really weird. Like, I just be trying to figure out what part they don't get about. First of all, it's not your business. Number two, you don't know what's going on inside of people's houses. Secondly, like, I don't think they understand what Dusty is, which is why they try to apply it to men that they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's what it is.
And like, please understand, for any confused Dusty or Dustiana, because some of them do it too, please understand that my womb, particularly my uterus, is not up for discussion. It just ain't. Like, we're not calling in to have discussions about what Sanji did with her womb. That's not going to happen. But you have trash bag bandits who think they can drag those hefty trash bags with the red handles all the way.
They don't have hefty. That's too. They can't afford hefty bags.
So they got the dollar store bags.
Dollar store version, yes.
Break apart soon as you put a shirt in it or some pants.
The kind that don't even get coupons and sales because they're so damn cheap that you can't discount them any further.
Exactly. And I was doing them a favor by giving them a hefty one, because the hefty trash bags, they actually cost a little bit. But yeah, you're not calling in here trying to check nobody on this phone line. That's what I do know. It's like the audacity. That's an offensive level of audacity. It's like, if you don't get your ass all the way out of here,
right?
Like, sitting up here talking about who Nyla with and what, like, bye. Like, don't call up here with that. Like, oh, I agree, but I'ma check y'all. No, you're not. You go get off my phone line. You go tell me about your narcissistic psychopathology, and you go get off my phone line. That's the only thing that you about to do. But are you going live, Nyla, later? Because I know New World is. She got she doing that.
What time is she going live? Because I don't want to miss her live.
She going at 9. She about to talk about that Polite situation, and I got some questions.
Oh, good, because yeah, it's a lot going on with that. Actually, there's a key piece that Sinetta revealed that he doesn't realize he revealed. I sent it to Taz so that he could show. He's gonna talk about it later too, but I definitely want to see what she has to say. This is ridiculous, but it's also a cycle. This is a cycle. As soon, you think this is season 3 of somebody does some pedo stuff, we call it out or ask a question about it, then all of a sudden, there's all of this other stuff. This is really, this stuff is crazy. So I'm really curious as to what her reading is going to be on it. I really am.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be there front and center. I'm going to be super chatting my questions. I got to say, I'm going to do it like I do you, how I have a certain amount I'm a super chat, but I kind of like spread it out so I can say a lot of stuff.
I think I'll do the same thing. What time did you say she was going live?
She's going live at 9, so it gives me a little while to kind of decompress, because really, like, I after all that, I need to decompress, because I didn't even expect that.
You guys are 3 hours in front of me, so that'll be. Is it 3?
Yeah.
Okay,
so 2 hours from now, so it'll be 6 your time, and like, look at this dude with the Witcher. This is what I'm talking about. Another trash bag coming in here with this witchcraft accusation. Like, how many times y'all gonna call us a witch?
Here's my thing. Like, why are you calling out witches instead of warlocks?
Exactly.
Like, why? Again, they're always focused on the wrong thing. Call out men. Call out warlocks. Why are you not worried? Why are you guys worried about witches?
Mm-hmm.
They're not even educated on witches in general, because I'm a whole witch. I say that on most of the streams, and they sit there and still call you guys witches.
Right.
And they're stupid because, first of all, witch in the bloodline, anybody can't just be an effective witch. You can practice Wicca, I suppose. You can try to practice it, but you ain't got no relevancy unless you're a bloodline witch. And I don't think that trash bag knows anything about our bloodlines.
Right.
I literally broke down witches, Luciferians, and Satanists, and they still come in here with the wrong information. So I can't help.
Well, they're not smart. They're not smart. I had a conversation about this earlier today. The whole witch thing and the warlocks and all this kind of stuff. These people are dumb. There's nothing that we can do to save them. Just know that winter is coming.
For everybody asking, yeah, it's New World Tarot. And if you just watch my community wall around 9 o'clock, because I'm going to share the live stream on my community wall, But in the meantime, y'all can go subscribe to Nyla's Vibes and Nyla Says and the Woman Sphere podcast and Irene Yvette, which is the Radical Black Conservative. If you not already subscribed, Luna, do you have a channel? Because they're asking for your channel in the chat box.
I do, but I specify anybody who says my channel name. I talk about demons and Luciferians and crystals and all that magical stuff. So subscribe.
So I need to be over there listening. I need to be over there subscribing. So let me go subscribe too, because I want to hear about that too. So
subscribe at your own discretion. Woman Sphere did motivate me to do some Luna After Dark stuff. So I might put up something with that. I do have something in mind for tonight. But seriously, people, just subscribe at your own discretion. You know, I don't want people to go over there thinking it's one thing, and then, you know, I'm talking about demons and shit and my ghost encounters, and then everybody's like, oh my God. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something, Dusty KD. What's evil is the fact that you in my chat box with your trash bags and your whiny tears and your narcissism. Like, don't nobody care about what you got to say. Like, what you mean evil? Like, you better be thankful I ain't a witch, because I would be putting all types of root and spell on you. I sure would be. Like, a lot of y'all better be happy. Y'all better be happy. Yeah, and if I am a witch, you better be happy I ain't in touch with my lineage, because I will be like, I'll be doing some damage. Please understand that I would be doing some damage. Like, so you better hope that I'm not a witch, because now y'all making me want to go look into it. Now I'm gonna go look into it, and you better especially hope that I ain't a bloodline witch, because if I'm a bloodline witch, it's on and popping. You better believe it. You better believe it. And I don't care. I couldn't give a damn less about you saying it's evil. Because your narcissism and your psychopathic antisocial mentality is what's evil.
That's right. And I am very proud of the fact that I have a long, rich bloodline of people who practice Santeria. I have no issue with that. And as a matter of fact, I probably should get deeper and deeper in touch with it than I already am. If that's what scares Dusties and 3 trash bag carrying Dusties, then I mean, let's do it. Let's do it. Your ancestors were called witches and demonic and demons, all because of the same reason. So now that these men are deciding to take on the exact persona and characteristics of their oppressors that they claim hate them, I mean, go ahead and follow in their footsteps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so I gotta pee. That's why I'm rocking back and forth. So I'm
doing the pee-pee dance.
So I'm gonna get off of here, but I was
love you, Stan. Love you, Nyla. You guys have a good one.
Love you more, girl.
Yeah, thanks for coming up too, Luna. I always enjoy hearing what you have to say. Nyla, you already know what it is. The channel is basically yours too, but so I might as well. So you already know you always up here. But I'm about to get off and go pee and go eat. So I will see y'all later. Don't forget to subscribe to Taz Exclusives, Nyla Vibes, Nyla Says, Irene Yvette, the Radical Black Conservative, and last but certainly not least, the Woman Sphere podcast. But I will see you guys later. Thanks so much for the super chats. Thanks for the cash apps. Thanks for being here and listening to this long lecture. Now I got to go pee because my black